What's up?
Dave's gone a little psychedelic on us today.
Yeah, that's
Tripping.
cool. So,
Hello, everybody.
oh, you are live. Okay, I'm going to click on that. We're going to get an echo for a minute. Okay, got it.
Echo,
Oh,
echo,
I guess-
echo.
I guess.
Trying something new with the streaming onto my channel too. So
Yeah.
I learned something new today, which is always a good thing.
Oh, anyway, if we're going to be on camera, what the hell?
I got
So-
cleaned up and everything. I told you I was gonna get cleaned up, so I was like, I might as well turn on the camera. I got cleaned up, shaved and everything. So
I didn't get cleaned up. I just went in the cat bed and grabbed a shirt out from under the cats and shook them off and threw it on, and yep, that's the way I roll. Oh my God, I was on JG's channel last night. He did a 8-hour stream, right? And he had a few clips that he played in the middle of the stream, but for the most part, he just has a stream of music playing the whole time. And he just sits and chats with people. Like, have you heard of, like, aren't there some, like, chat boards that you could do that on? I have no idea. But anyway, I got under his skin a few times about, his, oh, your arguments are circular. Are you still circular? Do you understand that your argument is circular? If you don't realize that, what did he call me? He called me something that was like, sounded like I heard in like elementary school, a poo finger.
Like finger?
Yeah, and that was only when the teacher was around, right? Because the kids I went to school with would have
Yeah,
said,
kick the. Yeah, kick it. Yeah.
yeah, teachers around you, fuck, and it's like, Jesus, grow the fuck up. Anyway, I got one of his arguments I'd like to possibly address at some point, but he's a pre-supper. What kills me is like Jay Dyer and Billy Bob, the Billy Bob show or whatever the hell that I had up the other day.
Billy Bob.
And
Oh,
JD, they all sit around talking about Rasmussen and
You mean
Rasmussen.
Jim Bob?
Jim Bob, yeah.
Okay.
I was calling Billy Bob. But anyway, what the fuck's his name? What is his name? Kastrup, Bernardo Kastrup. They all sit around and say, oh, your physicalism has been disproven, and these atheists are just such idiots for still believing that the mind could be physical because nobody believes that anymore. And it's like, what? and they sound it, and then they they think they're doing science, and we need philosophy to do science. Philosophy first, and we're philosophers, right? And they got fucking bachelor level philosophy degrees or whatever, and they just irritate the fuck out of me. Yeah, send Midnight a link.
Go ahead. Unless you just want to put the link out in the.
James Randi has a bit about PhDs and what happens the moment they get that paper in their hand. There's a reason that the person presenting the degrees to them wears gloves, because there's genetically implanted materials on the diploma, so that when they hand it to them, they actually metamorphosize into a PhD. It's pretty funny.
Right.
They weren't one up until that moment, not till they got handed that paper. It's amusing.
Oh, and oh my God, and and then it's like, anybody that's read David Hume knows, that blah 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 atheists are wrong, and David Hume didn't say any of that shit, but their reading of David Hume basically, gives them everything they want. And then they'll go all the way back to fucking Plato or Aristotle, and they're just pompous pigs, is what they are. Pompous pigs. And going on and on, like they got the only answer. And when you look at their philosophy, you realize we're looking up from above them, and you can see that they're in this fucking believer box, right? And they can't see any other way other than these dichotomies, like it's God or nothing, God or nothing, God or chaos, God or nihilism, it's like, oh my God. And it never occurs to them to read a little real philosophy, read some critiques of all those philosophers that you think you're cherry picking from, and then the other thing, when you go on the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy and you read any subject, what you'll get is an introduction, and then you'll get, okay, this guy's idea and this guy's idea, then this guy's critique of that idea, and then the critique of the critique, and then the comeback, and then six it branches off into six other ideas, and they all have somebody who disagrees with them and a comeback, and they all have these great arguments against each other, right? And by the end of the article, you are so fucking tired and dizzy that it's a fucking challenge for me to stay sober during some of this shit. I need an A meeting after that. It's like, my God,
They remind me, those dudes remind me of the Statler and Waldorf pair on the Muppet Show. They stood up in the top on the balcony and just kind of yelled out insults.
Did you send him a link? Didn't I?
I did not. I don't have
Oh.
I don't have his email address. That's why I asked you to do it.
Scott. Let me get on that. Okay, where the fuck? What's his name? Oh.
Hillary's emails is dropping by saying howdy.
Howdy, Hillary.
Oh, speaking of, Mike, there you go.
Yeah.
You wanted contact for
yes,
Hillary's emails.
Hillary's emails. I would like your email. So if you could go on my site and go to the About thing and find my email address and get in touch with me, I would like your email so I could ask you to maybe have a conversation with me at some point. Anyway, okay, I'm working on something, guys. Why are you distracting me?
I didn't want to forget.
It's just the process of.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave, because I totally fucking forgot. You know how I roll.
I've got
a screen, one of those fake backings like you have. I like that. I like that rainbow.
If you take most anything and put it up as a PNG, I think you can use them for a background.
Awesome.
So when you were doing your magic conjuring night, okay, the first thing I noticed is that your right arm kept disappearing. And I thought, oh my God.
That's a trick. Multidimensional.
Yeah,
the two cameras was kind of interesting. That was my first time doing that too. So it was kind of a learning curve. Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing yet, by the way.
No.
No aliens, no UFOs. But the second part of it is that if you do that stuff and you look through a telescope, everybody that dabbles with the occult and looks in the telescope sees a UFO. So I have a eyepiece camera for my telescope, and I've got it set up on my laptop and everything's ready to go. I've had cloudy weather. So, but fingers crossed, the sun is out right now. So maybe, I'm not giving any promises though, but first clear night, we're going to have the telescope out, and something better show up in the telescope, or Hugh's getting an email.
I'm back.
But are we going to talk about Psy now? Because
yeah,
I'm itching to. This really bugged me last night.
Okay.
Psy has written a chapter in a new book that's come out. It's called Coming to Faith Through Dawkins. And so we're going to be discussing something related to that. We're really going to talk about, you wanted to talk about kind of how atheism is failing. And so do you want to talk about the book and your chapter in the book first?
Well, I'll get to that.
Okay.
But I think the way I want to start out is
Atheism is failing. Did everybody hear that out there?
Yes.
Yeah.
My question is, what is atheism trying to do?
Yeah,
What's
that's
it
failing
failing
at. Right. What are we failing at? Atheism is failing. Okay. Well,
By the way, I just want to say, Dave, I want to just say real quick to Dave, I was away from the computer for a moment. I really appreciate your commitment to follow up, because you did this, some might say, sensationalistic show about UFOs and demons, but you're still following up on it weeks later. And I just want to say I admire that.
Oh, thank you. I approaching it, taking a Hugh by his word, and I'm putting it to the test because he said with his own words, test me and let me know. So
Have you sent your methodology to him for review?
no, I'm gonna make sure I do the telescope thing first, and I'm gonna make sure that my son and I get a few minutes so we actually get two people on the Ouija board.
Okay.
And then I'll make sure it's all covered real good, and then
Okay.
then I'll put it all together.
oh,
But anyway, yeah, what the heck is atheism failing at? Because my non-belief is still not believing. And
Well, and I don't like being called closed-minded.
yeah,
I tell people all the time, if a quote Mr. Spock showed up on my lawn and hopefully peaceful, and said, hey, you want to go for a ride and see the stars? I'm like, I'm gone. Let's go. I have no problem with something. And that same thing, if Jesus shows up on my lawn and says, you want to go see your relatives in heaven or something, I'm like, sure, let's go. I'm fully open-minded to it. I just seriously doubt it.
yeah, but when it's in terms of things that people have said to us that just aren't true, and I don't believe are true, I'm not a believer, and I'm still open-minded. But your stuff has had plenty of chances to be tested and tried and proven true, and it's not. So where is atheism failing? It seems like it's doing its job.
Oh, let's see. Okay. What am I doing? I'm trying to fucking OBS fuck me up again.
Not again.
It fucked me up again. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So I can't show any documents, but I've got his book that he wrote. This
If you see there, Hillary's emails sent contact info to you.
oh, good. Thank you. Okay.
And they agree.
Scott went mute. Okay, so basically, and I've been hearing this. Well, we'll play the video a little bit and we'll get into it. So
this whole topic, which is a very unusual one, and
not
the
really.
best way I could think of it was to give an analogy with sort of a story, which is, do you ever go into, I don't know, let's say a restaurant or a bar that you've been to many times, or maybe a library, it could be anywhere, and as soon as you walk in, you detect something has changed. It could be a church. Somehow or other, you feel there's something in the air. Maybe people seem more depressed than usual, or more jolly, or it's not the normal. Things are changing, and you can't really put your finger on it. But as you stay there, and especially as you listen to people talking,
You're just audio, Mike.
Going on.
What's that?
You're just audio, FYI.
I still didn't. Did you say good or bad?
You are only audio, unless that's all you meant to do.
Oh, okay.
You and I both have quite a bit of experience talking to atheists. And I, for the last, I don't know, maybe not even quite a year, have been having that sense that there is something going on. It may be a year. And, this book that you mentioned,
Can I
Coming to Faith
raise a
Dawn,
theory real quick?
which is kind of a strange title, because who comes to faith through one of the leading
What's happening?
I said, can I raise a theory real quick?
Yeah, yeah.
My theory is Garte is another year older and on his way towards feebleness. Maybe he's a little depressed and he's projecting.
Projecting, yeah.
So, I mean, I can't put my finger on it, but something is different is called subjectivity.
Yeah, there's like my son is constantly on my case because I watch the local news and he doesn't.
Uh-huh.
And if I see like 3 shootings in a row, I'm like, shootings everywhere, everybody's shooting everybody. Or 3 carjackings, lock your car, watch your back, you know. And it's like, and he's telling me, stop watching that shit, Dad, because you get these overall impressions of something's going on in culture, something's going on in society, based on the kind of media you tap into and what you happen to stumble into in your life, right? Like if it's cloudy for like 8 days, right? You're like, oh my God, it just seems so dull lately and cloudy. Because that's how
wait till Cy cites some of his sources for this information.
Yeah.
That's going to be good.
Well, I guess I better let him speak some more, but
stay
my
tuned.
first impression.
Yeah, stay tuned.
There are so many things that could have changed without any outside information changing. Also, why is he so lazy that since he's instead of talking to Rebecca on the live stream, why not put that off for 10 minutes and get some data to back it up?
Some data would have been good.
Data to look at.
Yeah, we have a couple of those.
Anyway, continue. I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt it too much.
Don't apologize, Scott. That's what you're supposed to do. It's your fucking job, man. Do your job. You're apologizing for doing your job. If you interrupt me again, I'm going to kill you.
Ed McMahon was famous. The side co-host is vital. You're vital, Scott.
Yeah. Do your job. Do your job. Okay, I'm going to play. Where are we?
Atheists, one of the main player in the new atheism push back in the early 2000s. But it turns out many people did. And what 2 very well-known Christian scientists and apologists from Great Britain, Dennis Alexander and Alistair McGrath. And Alistair McGrath, by the way, wrote the foreword for my first book, The Works of His Hands. And they decided they had been hearing the same kind of rumors. They've been hearing things about atheists coming to Christian faith. And what they heard was that many of the people they had been talking to, students, they're both professors, students, colleagues, various people, had said that it was the new atheism itself, the excesses of it, the way it was presented, that was turning a lot of former atheists off. And once they got turned off to the idea of atheism, they began exploring other things, and many of them converted to Christianity. And this book,
all right, stop right there. Stop right there.
One written by a former atheist.
There's nothing to back that up. Yes, people get turned off by extremists in anything. Religious people get turned off by extremists in their religions. And when you have people that are very outspoken, some people get turned off. But there's also a place for these people. We need Christopher Hitchens and an Aaron Ra and these different people that will look somebody right in the eye and just tell them what you're saying is ridiculous. So
there's Cy's book.
Also, in addition to that, Cy Garte apparently is a pleasant, kind, nice person, but he's kind of close to a fundamentalist. He's definitely a conservative. Same with Rebecca; she's a fundamentalist.
Right to Christianity.
I guess she's not.
If you have any question,
yeah, but yeah, there's so many levels of Christianity on the spectrum, just like that spectrum of color you have behind you there. What are they going to? Yeah. And does that count as Christianity?
Well,
and it's arrogance. it's arrogance
Yeah.
to say they're running to Christianity. There's
I wanna-
300 religions practiced nowadays, or 400 or something like that.
I've had a lot of interactions with Cy, and he strikes me as very humble, and he has a true faith. That's one thing I like to say about him. And he has a faith that is very similar to my faith, which is kind of odd because, and he probably has a faith that's very similar to Rebecca's, right? And it's like, okay, Rebecca's a young Earth creationist, Cy is an old Earth creationist, and I'm an atheist. And yet we have something in common that we all share. And I have a lot of respect for Cy Garte compared to, I mean, I've listened to him kind of go off his mark a little bit when he ends up on Cell's channel with creationists. He never speaks up, right? He never counters them, and that irritates me. Cy, you should fucking put up or shut up. and he just goes along with all the creationist garbage. But other than that, he is a really nice man. He's probably one of the nicest Christians in the community. I want to preface all of this with that, okay?
And I have no problem. I like the guy too, and Hugh Ross and other ones too. I just get a little disappointed in some of the things they say, but when they stick to what they know, I do like hearing them talk, and I listen to what they have to say. And they both, a lot of people, William Lane Craig always seems like he's a gentleman. So I can appreciate civil discourse.
Yeah. I think Cy just got a little confused when, he went on Rebecca's channel. So anyway, maybe, I'm not sure. We'll see.
It's just that, politeness and everything is just fine, but there are polite fundamentalists and there are polite white seers, and they're still just as wrong. Their premises are just as false as somebody who shouts at you.
No, I bet there were
Says
polite
bad
Nazis.
things about
I can respect somebody. Yeah, I can respect somebody that stands up for themselves. And
Yeah.
did you see Alex O'Connor's recent post? He started an interview with Peter Hitchens, and he immediately got bent and said, "I don't like you," and got up and left.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to check that out. I'm just joking.
And there's no respect for that. You show up and then you just go, "Oh, I don't like something you said, and I'm going to leave." And it's like,
oh yeah,
that's very juvenile for.
We had to play that clip of Bernardo Kastrup when he basically was going to have a conversation with a physicist, and the first thing he explained his idea to the guy that's actually doing particle physics and quantum mechanics. And the physicist said, "That's just dumb." And Bernardo Kastrup got rage quit on him. If that's the tone of the conversation, I'm just going to leave.
And he said it 50 times. And he said it 50 times. He had to repeat, "I'm leaving,
yeah, he
I'm
did it
leaving,
over
I'm
and
leaving,
over.
I'm leaving, I'm leaving, I'm leaving, I'm leaving, I'm leaving, I'm leaving, I'm leaving."
And the thing is, he boldly stated how physicalism is just wrong, and it's been proven wrong and all this stuff. And how do we prove physics wrong? With physics. And the physicist said, "That's just dumb."
Oh, I think he wasn't even that mean. I think he just said that was silly.
Yeah, silly. He said it was
yeah,
silly.
I don't even think he was that harsh or anything.
Yeah, this is just silly. Yeah. Okay, Leo. That I will link it a little later. Okay, Leo. Just let us get through Cy first, and we'll go to it. But it was pretty funny. Bernardo Kastrup rage quits because he's a fucking cult leader, and he's best when he's pontificating by himself. Physicalism has been proven false by physics. Fuck you, it has. Okay. Anyway.
Atheist who came to embrace Christianity and considers himself now a Christian, largely, partially sometimes, or entirely in other cases, because of what they were reading and hearing from the new atheists, like what you're talking. So my chapter is the first chapter, and it's kind of a long one. It talks about, I actually had just come to embrace Christianity a few months before the God Delusion came out in 2005, 2006. somewhere around there. And so it didn't bring me to faith, but what it did was it buttressed the newfound faith that I had, which is very important because I didn't go to a church for years. I just felt that Christ was real in my heart, but I didn't know anything about how to express that. So it was a shaky faith. It could have easily been demolished, but instead, what happened with me was that the things that Dawkins and Hitchens and Sam Harris said buttressed my faith. It made me feel stronger that I made the right decision, and that's what my chapter is about. And so none of us knew what the others were writing. We didn't know who they were when we wrote.
Okay, so the new atheists, Dawkins and Hitchens and all the guys that basically, I think what happened is like the end of the '90s and around the early aughts, right? It became all of a sudden there was this group of atheists that became vocal for the very first time, I think, in history. That they just started getting a following, right? And they became pop icon figures. And of course, we had Dawkins, and I don't care for that man myself, but they came out and they were going against these Christians, and then you got the Christians saying, "Ouch. Oh, that hurts." Their humorous jabs at my Sky Fairy belief hurts, right? And then that made them buckle down and be even more, dug in. And then, and his idea is that there were a bunch of atheists that were put off by this, and I'm sure there were, because if everybody has a fucking opinion, right? And there are a lot of people that are really sensitive to somebody making fun of another group of people blatantly. But if that changes the worldview, then they didn't really have a fucking worldview in the first place. Because your worldview doesn't change just because you don't like how somebody treated somebody else, right? That ain't how worldviews work, dude.
Yeah, for me, when I was going through the struggle to find what I can still hold on to is in terms of belief, it was things like, okay, I know what this preacher's saying about demons and stuff, but I just don't think it's demons. I think things are pretty much a matter of physics, chemistry, on the social level, economics and sociology. There's all sorts of reasons you're likely to come to other than the supernatural in order to come up with explanations about the world. I don't think this God stuff is right. That's kind of what the conversation said. None of it had anything to do with anybody hurting my feelings.
Yeah.
And it was just it's just such a straw man to think that, well, these mean old atheists saying mean old things about these really sweet, nice Christians, that's going to make people go back to Christianity. Maybe it has, but I don't know. To me, it's still all about what's real.
Okay, for Leo, I put the fucking link in the chat, okay?
Brett is going to mention how mean we've all been to her coming.
Yeah, we've been horribly mean to her, and that's where I want to have some comment. I want to have some words with Rebecca.
I may have said a few unkind things about Rebecca. I hope not.
Yeah,
because she is a sweet lady in her way.
Sweet lady.
But
it's not. I try not to make things personal,
yeah,
even when some other people have.
No.
In fact, for most people, if there's somebody that's been on this channel off and on, rotating back and forth for a while, I probably said some things about them that they might not like, but it was usually just in jest. It's like there's nobody here other than like somebody like Darth Dawkins or whatever that I just despise or dislike or disrespect. So I don't know.
Out of all the Christians I know online, I think these two are probably my favorite Christians. So anyway, before we beat the hell out of them,
please continue on.
With some exceptions. But reading the book after it came out, I have 2 copies, so this is my copy. It was astonishing, and several of us have spoken to each other and had given the same reaction, that there was so much in common in what happened when we were exposed to the new atheism, and that included things like the incredibly aggressive and almost nasty tone of the atheists towards Christians.
Oh, shucks.
The unwillingness to accept even, quote, moderate Christianity. Just, I mean, Dawkins and Harris and Jerry Coyne have all said that moderate Christians are worse than, fundamentalists because they, I don't know, some rationale.
I accept moderate religious people. I do.
I
the
don't.
problem is when they cross the line.
Yeah.
That's my problem. If you want to have a belief in anything, I really don't care. If you want to believe in Bigfoot, I fully endorse it. Okay. But when you go into the lab, you cannot say Bigfoot this and Bigfoot that. That's my only issue. And that's what Psi is going to do, is stating things as fact that are not things that are factual.
Nihilism line, like you. Let's see, train the rapture. I'm trying to read the comments a little bit here. Okay, answers. Let me guess. Atheism equals nihilism. Yes, that's the shit I was talking about last night. If you hype train the rapture as if nothing will come after, well.
And I told you
Let's go on, bro.
Earlier, Mike, about when I talked to Adam there, that he worked in the university in Israel and that. And one of the questions I asked is, does religion come up when you're in the lab? And he's like, no.
No.
He works amongst very religious people in a religious country, and it doesn't come up because that's not what they're testing.
Okay, go on.
And as you know, I mean, I hold to evolution is real. And once I got on to Jerry Coyne's blog, which is called Evolution is True, they hammered me in a way that was unprecedented and never has been the same. I've never had it that bad since. And that includes all my YouTube videos and all my Twitter and all my Facebook stuff, where I am exposed to backlash from atheists on a regular basis. But
wait, is it that you thought you were going to fit in there because they're promoting evolution, you're promoting evolution?
Oh yeah.
But you kind of realize, no, actually the agenda here is against Christianity, and that's
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I am a scientist. I know more science than most of the people.
Okay, pause it.
Okay.
This is bullshit. I've been on Jerry Coyne. It used to be. I don't really frequent that blog much anymore, but I've never known it to be an anti-Christian blog. If you're so extreme in your Christianity that not talking about Christianity is anti-Christian, then that's not the blog for you. But they don't talk about Christianity. Now, at some point, the guy we're talking about, Coyne, Coyne wrote a book called Faith versus Fact or something like that. He did a lot of, he really boned up and studied theology, and then wrote a book about his thoughts about it. And maybe during that time, a lot of Christians tried to get in on the act, and maybe they were handed their lunch. I don't know. But generally, it's about science or it's about cats, because that's what he blogs about, you know.
Why did they know Psi was a Christian? I mean, why did he bring it up on this Evolution is True site, right?
I call baloney because James Tour was recently crying about the same thing, that, well, ever since I came out and started saying all these crazy things, when I walk into a room of scientists, they're all whispering. And it's like,
yeah.
I said all these crazy things.
Yeah.
People are calling me crazy.
And it has nothing to do with because of he's religious. I call BS.
We don't know what happened to Psi. So
Speaking of, hey BS, how you doing out there?
Hey BS. We don't know what happened to Cy on that forum. He may have been mistreated, and it may have been innocent, but
I think he's being a little thin-skinned. I think is.
Yeah, perhaps. Well, I think he mentions it in his book, actually. That same thing,
including about evolution. And I thought I had something to contribute, but somehow somebody, and I never said anything about God. I was just there to talk about science.
Well, how'd they know you were a
Somebody
Christian?
looked me up and found out I was a Christian, and that was it. I lasted another 2 days, and then I ran and never went back.
Okay.
But that's typical. That was typical for many years. And here's what's changing.
No,
it's not happening anymore as much. Now, of course, it's still happening.
Because you ran away.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking to me because I ran away.
Go back.
Well,
it's probably still happening.
Yeah.
You
start hearing it.
The thing is, when I find out somebody's a Christian, I automatically double check their work. I'm sorry. I do double check their work.
Well, here's my theory to counter his theory. People perhaps treated him bad, but at some point they listened in on Answers in Atheism and talk about what a great guy and a good scientist Garte is. So they just kind of decided to ease up on his ass and not go after him so much.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't attack either of these people personally. I attack things that they say, and that should be fair game. Just like they're sitting there often laughing about atheists not being all that bright or whatever, and it goes both ways.
Yeah, back when my kids were 7 years old, my twins were 7, we had this 13-year-old babysitter from St. Bonifacius, Minnesota, and we had her for she babysat for the kids 5 times, and she just seemed really great and everything. And one time I was driving her home, and she started mumbling, and I realized that she was praying to Jesus about something as I was driving her home. And
because you were driving,
probably because I was driving. I don't know. I don't think I was driving that bad. We were in the 30 zone. I mean, we were on fucking city streets. And anyway, so when I got home, I double checked her work. I had a talk with my kids. I double checked her. And that's what I do with any Christian scientist. I double check their fucking work. Because if you're going to start fucking praying out loud, it's it was a weird, uncomfortable moment. I have no idea what she was praying about. But, I simultaneously thought I need a lawyer and I got to drop this kid off before she gets any further.
I'm picturing Mike hopping in the car saying, "You like Mexico?"
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, I want to do some crack. No, it was nothing like that. Just back during one of my sober periods. I'm sorry, Dave. Okay. That's a good story.
Real quick, somebody is asking what my channel address is. I think that he's over on, or they are over on your channel right now, Dave. It's at Scott Duke, but there's really nothing on it. If you're wanting this channel, it's Answers in Atheism. Answers in Atheism, all one world. One world. Oh, I slipped. I said it. One world. All one word.
I'll put the links in the description when we're done.
Well, I'll put a link here in the chat for my own channel. No, I got to work in my fucking chat. Do you see my comments on your channel too?
I see it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So we're simulcasting everything. Cool.
Yeah.
Fucking technology, man. It's gotten.
It's a little behind on the, with the lag, but
okay.
I see your stuff.
We're not getting very far.
There's comments on Twitter, but not as many and not as bad as it used to be. But it's not just my experience.
Until today, Cy. Yep.
Book came out. Another book came out, which is called The Surprising Rebirth of Belief in God.
I bought it.
Oh, is that Justin Brierley?
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
okay. I love Justin
What
Brierley.
a surprise.
Okay.
He is fantastic. Yeah. And the book is great. I actually wrote a review of it because he sent me a an early copy, and it just came out. I don't know, a few weeks ago, and the subtitle is "Why New Atheism Grew Old and Secular Thinkers Are Considering Christianity Again." So when you read that subtitle, you say, "Really? Secular thinkers are considering Christianity?" That sounds weird. I mean, which secular thinkers? And the point is that Brierley, over the last 20 years, has been interviewing many, many thinkers, both secular and Christian. And what he has been finding in the last few years is that many of these people who maybe 10, 15 years ago were, as fundamentalist atheists as you could be, were changing their tune. And that includes, some famous names. I mean, one of the ones that I actually watched, which I found fascinating, was an interview with N.T. Wright and Tom Holland, who wrote this book, Dominion.
Yeah, Tom Holland is very cool too. I heard him say that he would like to be a Christian, but it's the dinosaurs that keep him from being a Christian. And I actually started making a video for Tom Holland because I was like, I wanted to show him young Earth creation. But of course, I know I have little hope of reaching anyone for that. But,
you do.
Okay, look, people are putting comments here. I just want to say this really quick because B.S. Lewis said, "Boo, evolution. Am I right, Brett?" Yes, you're right, B.S. But you know that Dr. Garte believes in evolution and I don't. But I am so glad that people like him exist because most people are going to believe in evolution. And so I'm glad that we have people of faith that do believe in evolution because Dr. Garte is going to reach people that I won't be able to reach. So
that didn't make any sense to me.
That have different perspectives.
Yeah. Let's not agree, but let's reach people and tell them, look, we don't agree with each other.
Yep. But the only thing that's important is Jesus. So anyway, but so Rebecca is going to complain a little bit about how she has so much trouble with atheists. She got so frustrated with us. And it's like, Rebecca, it would have fucking helped if you hadn't asked us to deny all of science at the same time as basically adopting a belief in God. If she'd just come at us with just the God stuff, right, and the faith thing, she might have had some converts, but no. The earth is 6,000 years old. No, Rebecca, that's where you're failing, like really bad. We're not going to most of us have walked around in places other than the Grand Canyon and looked at rocks. And it's like, no, they're not 6,000 years old. Sorry.
And I politely said to her several times, if you want to be an evangelist, you have got to stick with the Jesus and not go off with this Ken Ham nonsense because Ken Ham is his own worst enemy. One of the top reasons people leave their faith is hearing this anti-science nonsense when they have a smartphone in their hand.
Yeah.
I think poor Rebecca doesn't realize that there's a council at the Merriam-Webster company that makes the dictionaries. And they're thinking of adding a few new letters to the word fail so it can really encompass how badly Rebecca fails with the science. It's that bad.
It's that bad.
And no converts.
No converts. Yeah, wonder why.
Not a single one. And remember, God told her to evangelize to those YouTube atheists and bring them to Jesus. So God didn't know what God was doing either.
Rebecca wants to tell us, all that starlight in the sky. Well, it's tired. It's tired light, because it had to go so far, and or some fuck. I have no.
And then I had to look up what tired light is. And
it's just the punchline to that old joke. I just got here from Alpha Centauri, and boy, are my arms tired.
Yeah, my arms are tired. Yeah, it's just like, oh shit. It just doesn't work, Rebecca. 6,000 years doesn't work. Okay, going on.
It's on that.
Yeah, I mentioned to you I'm writing a third book. That's going to make the case that we should stop arguing about evolution because it doesn't matter. Now, that's a very controversial statement.
Hear that, Rebecca?
That people who hate evolution think that it's anti-biblical, that it destroys Christian faith. And I am going to be making I think, a very strong case that that's not true. In fact, the Bible is in Genesis. There is, and you were talking about text before. There is text in Genesis 1 that is so supportive of evolution, it's unbelievable. But I'm not going to say any more about it.
I agree with you. It is unbelievable.
Okay, we'll have to have that conversation.
You'll have to wait a couple of years for that book to come out.
Yeah, but you know, and that's why I don't want to argue about evolution with Christians, but I do
Didn't want to argue with Cy either, I don't think.
think like, shouldn't we know what's true? Like, if evolution is not true, do you want to know?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's why I talk about it. I want people to know the truth. And,
Right.
you know, of course, if you have the idea that it's true, I don't. Okay, we disagree on that, and that's not going to come between us. But, you know, I do think, you know, it's important. But, yeah.
Well, we'll see. I mean, that's another subject. But
Yeah.
you're not the only young Earth creationist who I count as a friend. I mean, I have many young Earth creationist friends, and most of them, like you, say to me exactly what I say, which is that this is not an issue that has anything to do with salvation or with belief in Jesus as the Messiah, as the Savior. You know, it doesn't have to do with the truth that he rose from the dead and, you know, will come again, and all the other tenets of Christianity. I mean, it does have to do with how we interpret the Bible, but that's a theological issue.
Okay, and real quick, Mike, that's baloney, because Ken Ham says the same thing. Oh, you don't have to, you know, necessarily believe all these things. You know, Jesus is the ultimate thing, but the Bible does say 6 days of creation and Noah's flood, and he spends millions and millions of dollars on his attractions pushing that stuff. So they contradict it's not that important, but yet how many of these little creation museums and then the larger ones are around? They seem to be saying that it is very important to believe in that, or you're not taking the Bible for what it is. And people who try to put evolution or long ages are rejecting the word.
Yeah, there are ways to make it work, but we can get into that a little bit later. There are ways to make Christianity work without believing in the resurrection or any of that bullshit.
Well, and you see what Cy's doing now. Oh yeah, evolution's in the Bible now.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how he presents that. I don't know. Yeah, the Bible is very good at science.
Any way of wording the text or interpreting the text that says evolution is true is just somebody has taken a turned down Stupidville. There's just no way to do that. It's not about evolution. It's not about science. It's mythology that's been written to provide the foundation of the belief system of what 8th, 7th century BC Israelis.
Yeah. So I must take. I don't know how he reconciles Adam and Eve, but there are ways to do that too. I mean, you can believe that the whole Adam and Eve thing was basically a metaphorical story about man and about the nature of man, right? And that man did evolve from, simpler primates, or not simpler, but older primates. And you can put that together, and then you can say that the Jesus resurrection was a bona fide miracle that had happened, right? Or you could say that Adam and Eve, basically in the course of evolution of hominids, that Adam and Eve were suddenly created as these special hominids, right? You could believe that. There's a lot of ways you can get around it. And the point is that the stories in the Bible, when they were written, and the people that wrote them didn't fucking want you to sit around and argue about how they, disagree with science and whatever. They were trying to make a point about humanity, about life and love and living, right? And they were doing it with some really shitty prose. I think it's really badly written. But but they were trying to make a point, right? And I don't know. It's like, just let it go, guys.
And a lot of the early religions and mythologies and all that were kind of our first attempts at science. We were trying to explain things. The problem was the limits of their knowledge was about as far as it's a demon or it's a god. So
Yeah, but Nitty, the genealogies could be, just a deeper metaphor or whatever. I mean, you don't have to even think about it in order to have faith in Christianity, right? We'll talk a little bit more about that later, hopefully. Anyway, let's disagree with Mike about that. I think you can put it together. I don't know. I've got an imagination. I could work all day to put this shit together. Well, I read a lot of Ellen Watts, and Ellen Watts did a pretty good job of explaining the myth of Christianity and what it really, what it really does to a person, what it means, and how you can live with it. So, anyway. But he was a Zen Buddhist, kind of. Okay, moving on.
So I don't usually talk about that much, but I know a lot of people who do. But anyway, I don't want to get sidetracked in that because I want to go back to the story of eight. Oh,
Yeah.
we have another.
Yep, yeah, and getting back on this will help us get back on the topic.
Okay.
So what else was it? Kevin asked, was it? Now you mentioned the nasty comments and tone, but what else was like an example of something that was said to you by new atheists that helped strengthen your faith?
So I'm just going to.
Why would something that an atheist said strengthen your faith?
And what the hell is a new atheist?
Oh, Dawkins and Hitchens were called the new atheists.
Yeah,
I think what they mean by new atheists, the atheists that weren't afraid to get up on a podium and say it out loud.
yeah, people who make strident, strong statements,
Right.
about the religions that they no longer hold to.
I want to say it isn't me. I have had a couple comments back and forth with Cy on Facebook before, and I was nothing but nice. So I wasn't the one being nasty. Just to
But
point it out.
maybe I'm a new atheist because every now and then when I'm with somebody who believes in this shit, I'll say, "What the fuck? What are you telling me? Are you talking about talking donkeys and fucking floods and shit like?" I mean, sometimes I just want to grab them and say, "What?" It's like, I don't know if I'd let them watch my kids. Anyway.
I'll read a short paragraph and then I can go into detail. At the beginning of the chapter, I wrote, I started reading The God Delusion with some trepidation that the brilliant mind of the writer, that's Richard Dawkins, who I'd always admired as a scientist, would have an answer that would rock my still tender faith. But I found the opposite to be true. It was a welcome surprise. If the most scientifically based book arguing against theism could not provide any better answer as to why we see why we see good and evil in the world, then I need not worry about other potentially less weighty arguments. My faith, in fact, would go stronger rather than weaker. So this was about what happened was when I was reading The God Delusion, I came across the section where Dawkins talks about the origin of morality, good and evil. And of course, he gives a very lame.
Okay, his first mistake was thinking that Dawkins was the guy to go to for metaphysics and philosophy, I think. But now here he gets into this.
Evolutionary, by the way, an evolutionary explanation. He says that if
For
people are
morality.
good and they're altruistic and they sacrifice for each other because it's selectively advantageous. And what I wrote in the chapter is that's scientifically terrible. It doesn't make any sense scientifically because evolution, you don't just if you do something good, then you have
we're social species. Social species rely on each other. Social species do not lay an egg and disappear, right? It is vital to our niche that we chose to work together. That is just so wrong. That is,
and there's some history. There's some history here. Evolutionary biology came up in about the 80s and 90s, and Tubi and Cosmides and Pinker and a bunch of other people picked it up, and they told a whole lot of just so stories that people found unpalatable, and it wasn't really based in anything we could really put our hands on. And it's what actually got me into molecular biology and neuroscience, evolutionary biology. And then there was a big pushback against evolutionary biology. Ask Dr. Dan Sturgeon Cardinal what he thinks of it, and a few other people. And this pushback, and there was a pushback against this altruism basically being genetically selected for. And the whole thing, I hope today in 2023, we have a new version of evolution, the extended edition, where we can take a new look at all of that and understand what is going on. And it wasn't just, oh, it's the genes that were selected for. Sygart disagrees with the people who would call for evolutionary biology, right? He'd be on the same side as Dr. Dan, I think. I hope I'm not misrepresenting you, Dr. Dan, but that's what I remember. And so he has a different opinion than other evolutionary biologists. And somehow that strengthened his faith in God or in creation. I don't get it, Cy. I don't get it. I mean, it's a difference of opinion about how something evolved or what the genetic pressures were. And I think Dawkins went on about memes and culture. And I think he did kind of try to explain how it works for a population of human beings, which are social animals in the last 2 million years, and how this stuff came about. But anyway, I'm not sure if I'm making any sense today, but
that's where I start to have issues. It's like he's a biologist, but he doesn't understand social species.
Yeah,
I
mean, for one thing, I mean, it's well known that animals, I think going back to the dinosaurs, sacrificed for their young, basically, to put those genes into the future, and that was the source of altruism. And it isn't hard to conceive of how, given the structure of our brains forming social units, how that morality came to be embedded in an entire tribe, family, and then tribe, right? And how we developed this sense of our group of people, right? And how we would sacrifice for others. I mean, it just isn't all that hard to figure out. And yeah, it's genetics, but to say there's a gene for altruism, that would be really dumb. It's a hell of a lot more complicated than all of that. Anyway, but apparently that's a real problem Cy has with evolution. And one of the things that pushed him over.
I think he bleeds off too from his issues with abiogenesis too, and then
that too
always creeps into the evolution argument.
Yeah, he's not a believer. I'm a believer. I just have a religion. I have a abiogenesis religion.
Here's my thought that I came up with while you two were talking.
You came up with a thought?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whenever people get into talk of good and evil and sin, I just think it's kind of a useless conversation.
Yeah.
Because the word is poetic. The words evil or sin are poetic, and philosophers glom onto it. That's why they go round and round about it. But neither word helps you find answers. And if you're going to find a practical policy or sociological answer to either one, you need to define your terms much, much better.
Yeah, but altruism, not everything about us was designed by evolution to work and make sense, right? I mean, altruism could very well be something that gets you killed and is difficult to select for. But if the whole population has that disease that makes them altruistic, then some of the genes in that population are going to end up in the future. And if those genes happen to be the same ones that the altruistic caveman died for, if those genes are still in the population, then those are going to end up in the future. And it isn't quite as easy as, oh, it was not advantageous, so it wasn't selected for. That only works for fucking bacteria. It doesn't work for other animals, niche building animals like we are. So, I mean, it's a lot more complicated than that. And I'm surprised that Cy has not read some of the more complex versions of all of this. That on
Because
you.
with the niche animals, altruism might be considered a group level defense,
Yeah.
and it helps the group survive. Whereas maybe without that strategy, the group would flounder.
I could easily program a population model that worked with altruism. And some of those populations that I programmed would end up extinct because of that algorithm, altruism. Other of the populations would not. And it would all be causally intermeshed with that altruism. And that's what happened, okay? It basically it ended up in our structure, the way our brain works, the way we socialize, the way we raise our young, all of that. So if I can write a program that could show that, then it could have happened. It's that fucking simple. There are
I
ways.
see, Cy. You just need to come here and Mike will explain it to you. You're not going to get any answers over there
We'd have a big fight over that one, I think.
with the bread.
Yeah, you will get answers in the atheism, I think.
Yeah, so, but not you won't get answers in the bread.
Yeah, come on over, Cy. We'll talk it through with you.
Yeah, that's my new byline. Like Sal Cordova always said, there are no answers in atheism. And I say, there are no answers in the bread. Okay.
Yeah, in fact, if you come over for Cy, I may not even cuss. It's possible.
Yeah.
That I might not curse.
I will, though. You know me.
My online persona, I try to keep clean and polite because I've heard numerous times that if you cuss, you're going to turn off believers. So I do make the effort to keep my language clean.
I told you the goat fucking story in the back room once, didn't I?
I do. My language is a little more colorful when I'm not online. But
when some Christians were talking at a place I worked in North Carolina, and they were talking about somebody said the G word, and they were saying that somebody said "goddamn" or something, and I looked up and said "goat fucking," and the room went silent. Oh man, they were happy when I left North Carolina. They wanted to get rid of me.
That's why they don't want to drive with you.
Yeah, right. Oh, put in some 9 Inch Nails and you don't want to drive with me. I had to take the 9 Inch Nails tape out of the car back in the day because I would have killed us if I kept listening to 9 Inch Nails while I drove. I don't know what it is about that fucking band, but you cannot drive with that in the tape player. Of course, we don't have tape players anymore, do we? Anyway, okay. I'm going on.
Evolution has to do with genes, which of course Dawkins knows very well. And genes make proteins. They don't affect whether whether you're good or bad.
Yeah, they do.
And in fact, I go through a long discussion.
I can't fucking believe he said that out loud. I mean, it's like, God damn, Cy. Don't you understand anything about neuroscience and genetics?
Of how behavioral human behavior is only slightly genetic. It's mostly environmental and cultural. So no, evolution cannot explain morality. It just doesn't work in so many ways. And I go into detail on that. And that's one example, but there were many. What I talk about in the chapter is
the nature nurture discussion has been dead for 20 years. I'm sorry.
I mentioned that there were three main pillars of my general life philosophy, and that has to do with how I grew up. So one was science, because I was always very interested in science, and Dawkins' book here, The God Delusion, and that of the others, Harris, Dennett, and I didn't really read Hitchens, but I've heard about it. The science was terrible. It just didn't hold up. But the other two pillars, one of the things I've always loved was history. I read history constantly when I was a kid. I even thought of majoring in history, but I figured I wouldn't get a job doing anything, so I switched to science. But the historical treatment of everything. I mean, from the time of Jesus all the way through Europe in the Middle Ages, it's just flat wrong. I mean, the new atheists talk about Christianity being the source of evil in the world. It's exactly the opposite. And that, and we talked about Tom Holland before, that his book, Dominion, makes that very clear. I mean, the whole idea that we take for granted that people should be treated well, even if they're slaves or even if they're low class or they don't have any money, that was unheard of in the Roman Empire or before. It came from Jesus. It came from
Okay, this is the part right here, right? So I asked ChatGPT. I said, was Jesus the first person to ever talk about social justice? Knowing full well what ChatGPT was going to tell me, and it said no.
Well, the Buddha was 900 years before Jesus.
Oh, and ancient civilizations, many ancient civilizations, Egyptians, Greeks had their own codes of ethics, laws, and philosophies that touched upon issues of fairness, justice, and treatment of the vulnerable. No, and I just said Jesus was the first one that brought it in. And yes, Christian philosophy, and it had a hell of an influence on our Western culture. Didn't have so much on Eastern culture, but it influenced us. And yeah, it was a cool message that Jesus had, but a lot of other fucking people were saying the same thing, and I'm pretty sure that's where Jesus got it from. Jesus probably read a book.
Well, and the Golden Rule is also in the Old Testament, and it's in almost all religions, all philosophers, Confucius, and whoever you want to name, they all have a version of the Golden Rule. It's not hard to figure out. If you don't like something, they probably don't like it either. And
now
if
they're going to
you
go on
like something, same thing.
Now they're going to go on for 7 or 8 minutes about Stalin and fucking Nazis and atheist Russians and all this bullshit.
Why don't we skip through that? That's
should we skip through that?
Old shit.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's not all. I mean, even the historical treatment of the Middle Ages and Nazism and Stalin.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Here we go.
But the thing that had always bothered me was, okay, yeah, I'm against racism. African Americans should probably there. I didn't copy it out, but
I don't think African Americans are the only. Well, anyway, I don't know why he went there.
Incorporate the values that I learned as a child. Their source is not Karl Marx or Lenin or any other communist ideologue, but, as I was surprised to find out, none other than Jesus Christ.
Wrong. Jesus said, slaves, obey your masters. Nothing about free the slaves.
Hey, James.
Hey there, guy.
Yeah, you can't stand
James.
anymore, can you?
I knew it, as soon as he started on that, I'm like, man, I got something to say, yo. I got something to say.
Yep, go ahead.
Let's hear it.
It's like, oh my freaking God. Like, okay, you got to cover the basics. I appreciate that. But Jesus was really, really bad at being virtuous and even sane. And it just amazes me that they don't get more pushback on that point, even from atheists. I can't count how many times I've seen a very intelligent, respected atheist in the community granting the idea that Jesus, no matter how much of that character is real or not, the character Jesus was this pretty great shining example of human virtue and decency and good and lovingness in the world. And I'm like, no, he wasn't. He absolutely freaking wasn't. I mean, this is a guy that believed that the entire world, except for all proper Jews, was going to die, and that everybody who wasn't a proper Jew deserved to die, right? And this is something that Christians don't seem to get. He didn't come for the Gentiles. He didn't come for the world. He came for the Jews and only the Jews. And then on top of that, this guy was clearly mentally ill. He just clearly, he heard voices in his head that he was convinced was the creator of the universe and became convinced that was his real daddy. Screw that Joseph guy. I don't need him anyways. Right? And this guy lost his battle with mental illness without realizing that that's what was happening, because he had an argument with the voices in his head telling him to unalive himself. Please don't make me do it. Please don't make me unalive myself. Do it, do it, do it. And he's like, fine, I'll do it. Right? So this is a guy who bragged about the fact that he took no personal responsibility for anything that he said or did in the world. None. Right? He only does whatever the voices tell him to do. Only says whatever they tell him to do. Right? Took no responsibility for his place in the world. He said crazy things like, for anybody who doesn't want to be my slave, bring them before me and kill them. Right? And he was part of this really barbaric religious culture. And I get that for the context of the day and the era that he was in, that he was progressive by that standard. He was telling the Jews, let's be less legalistic. Let's be less violent. Let's be more helpful to each other. He was saying that. And so, again, by that standard, he was progressive. But it doesn't change the fact that he still had a lot of junk in his head and his preachments that were antithetical to the health, the well-being of humans, right? And so he was just part of this barbaric cult, and he was progressive compared to them, but not compared to today's modern standards. We figured out a lot of shit. He was pro-slavery, Jesus was, and we're not. We know better than that, right? He was an authoritarian. We know better than that. Authoritarianism is always bad for humanity, right? And it's just all these appeals to might makes right and these cult ideas. And I'm like, how you can get this idea that they represent love in the world and that they introduce love and altruism in the world. There's nothing altruistic about the Christian message. There's nothing altruistic about it at all. Join us, or else you deserve to not exist forever, or else you deserve to be tortured forever. There's nothing altruistic about that. And it's just like, he gets everything wrong, everything. And it's just,
when Jesus comes back, he's going to rule with an iron rod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And didn't he kind of create a fucking vast upheaval that killed millions? I mean, you know, he was a rebel, right? In his time. That's why they nailed him to a cross. Because he was basically stirring people up.
Sure, and he did it on purpose, right? Because in the context of the story, he wanted to commit suicide by cop. Right, he wanted to, get himself intentionally unalived by someone else. And then after he succeeded in doing that, after he succeeded in manipulating people into killing him, he then had the audacity to say that, oh, dear God in heaven, please forgive the people for what they're doing. And I'm like, dude, you went out of your way to do it, and he wanted you to do it according to you. Like, what is there to forgive? There's nothing there to forgive. If you purposely put yourself in a position where Rome is going to identify you as someone who's attempting or intending to lead a rebellion, a coup against Rome, right? That you've aligned yourself in that way. Then when you're accused of it, you refuse to clear your own good name, right? According to the story, Pilate asked him repeatedly, is it true? Is that what you're doing? And Jesus refused to defend himself. He refused to clarify, no, that's not what I'm doing. And in doing so, he committed a lie of omission. It's directly a lie to humor somebody else's lie. And he did this in order to make sure that he himself was going to get unalived by the people. And then he again had the audacity to say, oh, well, I'm going to forgive these people. I'm like, forgive them for what? They're just doing what they're supposed to do. That's how governments work. If they think that you've been identified as somebody planning a sedition, right, planning some kind of coup, they're gonna do what they do, right? You know what the laws are.
I forgive you, James.
It's a supreme ruler. It's no different. If you have an emperor or if you have Yahweh, it's a supreme ruler. And it's on the whims of whatever. And yeah, swift justice. There you go.
Apparently, Jesus just joined us.
I mean, I'm not Jesus, but hello.
What's up, Midnight?
Oh.
Hello. Been a while.
Hello.
You told me you were the other night. I don't know. I thought you told me you were.
Speaking of, did you finish watching my stream even though it was like 3 hours?
I spotted through it, and then, I watched a few parts, and I caught the evolution part or whatever, and I can't remember it. But, yeah, I spotted through it.
Did you get to the bioinformatics part?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And what was that? I can't remember what that was. That was yesterday, right?
Basically, it wasn't yesterday. It was a few days ago that I had that stream. Okay, so what have these two lovely people been talking about? Because I have been busy being on hold with Social Security to actually listen. Bureaucracy.
He already cited what's his name, Justin Brierly as a source, and there's a couple other gem sources that are going to come up here pretty quick. I want to comment on. So
We saw Tom
his
Holland.
sources mostly are really, really bad.
Well, he's talking about Psy, right? And
Yep.
he has cited Tom Holland, who I think's made a pretty good Spider-Man. I don't know why people are picking on him like that, but so far, I don't know if he's a good philosopher or a bad philosopher.
He's going to cite
damn good Spider-Man.
He's got Jordan Peterson and
oh no,
who else? His name's on the tip of my tongue. I'll think of it. But yeah,
Okay.
he's got a couple other gem sources coming up here too.
Okay, let's go ahead.
You should use me as a source.
To declare there's no difference between Greek or Jew, slave or free, male or female. It was St. Paul. It was not the Senate of the Roman Empire that declared that love between all people was the central commandment. It was Jesus. And I go on. So,
I have something to say about that.
how did these books buttress my?
Go ahead.
This idea of there is no slaves or there's no inequality within the body of Christ is specifically just everybody who's a Christian is equal to each other, right?
Yeah.
And even that they don't really believe, right? Because they still subjugate women, they still see them as lessers. This is part of the problem with racism, is that racists don't know that they're racists because they think, for example, Sexists think that women literally are less capable than men in some regards. And so they don't feel like it counts as a prejudice or a bigotry to simply acknowledge a factual difference. Therefore, they don't recognize that they're being a sexist.
Yeah, they think they're not sexist because they hold the door open for a woman.
Oh,
Right,
they
yeah.
acknowledge that women are like equally talented, but they're only talented in the kitchen.
Yeah, exactly.
Make me a sandwich.
Right.
Yeah,
So in the
they all have their talents, right?
Da 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 da.
Who's
Yours.
Not me.
Whose else would it be? How long have you been
Yeah,
I
there?
know Scott. I know
Letting this phone go off.
It's always Scott.
Right.
Okay.
So in the meantime, they don't extend that to everybody else, right? To say that everybody is respected within our ranks isn't a way of saying that everybody's respected outside of our ranks, right? They don't respect the love or even the value of your existence if you're not a Christian. So to take this very racist ideology, because that's what Christianity is. It's an artificial form of racism. It's an artificial platform for othering, to say that everybody in our demographic has great worth and everybody outside of it doesn't. You guys don't even deserve to exist. You're not even worthy to lick our boots, that kind of a thing. To take that ideology and say, oh, this represents altruism and the idea that all humans are equal, I mean, no, it doesn't. Christianity is exactly the opposite to the idea that all humans are equal. Christianity directly refutes that all humans are equal. And it does it in countless many ways. And at the end, they prove it with their belief that you and I and our children don't even deserve to exist. We deserve death at the very least, and possibly eternally a far worse fate than death. You can't say that at the same time of saying, oh, but I think that your life is worth as much as my life. You can't. These are opposite ideas. And so where Psy is coming from is just this scrambled egg nonsense.
I mean, can I add something? Can I add something here? To where I do get what you're saying with Christians. They think they're better than everyone else, but at the same time, when they talk about God, they say they say our actions are are nothing but rags compared to God. So it's like when it comes to God, they are pieces of shit. But when it comes to rest of humanity, they're better than humanity. So it feels like they're pieces of shit with a bow on it, while while the entire human race are pieces of shit with nothing on it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like it's that dichotomy to where they think they're better than other people, but they still think they're not better than God. It is fucking bizarre, just insane.
Yep. Hallelujah.
This is Justin Brierley wrote the new book, and this is his blog post. New atheism has collapsed. The tide is turning. I don't know what the fuck new atheism is exactly, other than
Atheism plus. I mean, that was a mistake, but that's not what he's talking about. So.
I think it was kind of how I explained it. It was atheists all of a sudden got up on the podium and started calling Christians for their bullshit more loudly and with a little more humor. And that was Christopher Hitchens and Dawkins back in the day.
Why can't the creator of the universe just come here and just settle this? That's what I want.
Yeah, right.
Please come down and settle this bullshit.
And I don't know if they
Fucking
I don't know if they realize it or not, but we've long since put Dawkins in a nursing home. We don't.
Well,
he's not
that's what he said.
looking
He
for
said
it.
it seemed the new atheism seemed to have gotten old, and it's like, well, yeah, some of those gentlemen got old, and one of them
died.
passed away, and one had a stroke, and
Yeah, and
Well,
Dawkins.
I'm studying the nude atheists.
guess why they aren't debating people?
Yes, Lewis.
Here's my question.
Dawkins had a stroke when he heard there were transgender people.
And and Hitch
Oh my god.
Hitch isn't out there debating anybody. What's going
Yeah,
on?
well,
with
where'd
him?
he go? I mean, is he a
Yeah.
Christian now? I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah, he must
But
be. Yeah.
my question is,
JG was going after Hitch last night.
The man's been dead for
yeah, it's
20
like,
years. Let him be in peace.
Okay, Scott.
where are the graphs and charts that I see flashed up all the time that talk about how many people are in the nuns group, how many people are in the Christian, how many people in the Muslim group?
Oh, I got it.
What's the data and the trend lines that this Breyer guy is hanging on to?
Yeah, so do we want to look at that now, or should we wait till Side references it?
I don't know. That's just kind of the question I'm raising, because just saying. See, you can do one of two things. You can start saying something over and over, hoping that people think it's true,
Right.
and then all the people who are just members of a herd will run over to Christianity because they think that's where the herd's going. Or you can show us data that show this is really what people are doing without all the marketing.
Yeah, if you look at it by country here, we have, so atheism is the red line, right? That's Australia. Look at that sucker pointing upwards. And practicing religious is the green line, and that one's kind of going downwards on top. And then the USA, right? We got atheism going up, and we got both things trending down.
Now, is that red? Is it
but look at Russia.
atheism exclusively, or is it atheism plus no identified religion?
Atheist. Non-religious would be the yellow lines at the bottom.
And what's this source?
This one is Colin Mathers, Global Trends in Religion. And I'm not sure how reliable it is. I can't I'll tell you right now, but I will put a link and we'll check it out.
Yeah, at least we have a source.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is you can't just say based on a small population what's going on. And then I saw another one. The Pew Research said that atheists are losing ground in percentage of population overall, because there are a lot of countries like Buddhism. Well, Muslim is the fastest growing religion, and it is growing faster than the population. Christianity is keeping level with population growth, and atheism shows like a 1-point decline with population growth.
Yeah, part of that's because we're not popping out as many babies.
I mean, you got to look at all the and look at China. China's like way the fuck up there with atheism, and Nigeria, on the other hand, is practicing religious are like 90%, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, you got to look at each.
We've all
You
seen
got to
the
analyze
YouTube.
that shit a little bit before you
Isn't
make.
China also extremely communist?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're very oppressive, and some of
is
that atheism
weird.
may be because of government force.
Yeah, and here they go by basically a different classification. Reformed West, and I'm not sure what they mean by Old West. Okay, close and accept the goddamn cookies. Old West, Returned West. I don't know what they're talking about, but they're showing the trends basically. In atheism, the Returned West. I don't know what the hell that is.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck he's
I have
talking
to read the article. Anyway,
You're
but
gonna make me
this
read an article?
read an article. Orthodox East, Indic East. Atheism's going way to hell down in the Orthodox East. The Cynic East, the Islamic East. Boy, atheists don't do so well over in Islam country, do they?
Yeah, because they'll kill you.
Yeah.
they'll
Yeah,
fucking kill you.
You know. But the thing is, 50% of people almost voted for President Trump. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, you can't rely on people to. Oh, it's true because more and more people are becoming believers. I don't care, and I don't think that's true in America. According to this line, it's not true in America.
50% of the voters voted for Trump, not 50% of the people.
USA is
Can I be
U-
cynical?
okay. The green and the blue line on top for the USA both look to be trending down radically, and
Yeah.
atheism and non-religious are trending up, according to this poll. Which I
Yeah.
like. So anyway,
May I be very cynical?
go ahead, Scott. I like.
Well, did not Garte retire a little while ago?
I think so.
So he retired, and I'm sure he gets some sort of retirement through what he's invested in his career and everything. But surely wouldn't it be good to have some book bucks to spend as your retirement years progress, so that writing some popular but pap kind of Christianity books would be great for one's income.
Yeah,
And speaking engagements would be great
Yeah, they
for
would.
one's income.
he could be angling for that. I haven't thought of that. It's very realistic.
I'm sorry, but you gotta see. I believe in context. Look at everything in context. The person in their life in context. And this, I'm hearing a phase of life alert going off, because what he's saying is just a repeat of what he's been saying before, and he's just taking what other minds have accumulated and he's repeating it. It's it's one of those things like, who was it who was trying to who I accused of? I don't know, but at any rate, pick a controversial topic and just speak on it till people think you're an expert, and you'll get some of that book tour money and lecturing money.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to push back on that. Yeah, I do think Cy has kind of quit thinking a little bit, but I know Cy is like he has a deep faith, and that's why he's doing it.
Yeah, his deep faith is tragic, though. I mean, so he's
Not
old
really.
enough, so he won't have to live long enough to see the fruits of his labor, so to speak. But imagine a world where they win the culture war. Imagine a country where they win the culture war. What Spy doesn't realize is that the state religion being Christianity wouldn't be his version of Christianity. Already we have Christian nationalists pushing for book bans and book burning and the total cessation. Yeah, the total cessation of scientific inquiry that defies their dogmas, and so they don't want climate research being done anymore, for example. In fact, that happened when Trump was in power. Trump tried everything he could to ban climate research in America. He told NASA they're not even allowed to do it anymore, right? And so when we have this kind of a mentality happening within their culture, if they were to win the culture war, Psy's version of Christianity would not be the dominant version. It would not be the version that wins. The version that wins, that takes and holds power, would be the most aggressive, most hateful, most anti-intellectual version of Christianity. And then in that world, people like Psy wouldn't even be allowed to talk openly about how evolution is true. Right? This is the same problem that Pine Creek, the same mistake that he makes, thinking that a better world would be the one where his culture, where his side of the political divide wins the great culture war. In that case, in that world, somebody like Pine Creek wouldn't even be allowed to have a channel where he calls out Christian fundamentalists for their beliefs, because it would be illegal to do so. These people just aren't thinking far enough ahead. They don't recognize where the line needs to be drawn.
Yeah, but I was talking about faith, and that's not the same as beliefs and the political area surrounding Christianity. But that's probably a topic for another day.
Sure. No, I don't have a problem with faith in general, and I get what you're saying totally, right?
Yeah.
So there are elements of what he's saying that could be separated out, and that aren't necessarily as problematic. I grant all of that. Right?
One of the reasons why atheists or some of these young atheists who haven't really, I mean, are not philosophers, they haven't thought too hard about any of this. One of the reasons why they would go back to Christianity is because when you enter that particular method of causing a faithful experience in your life, it is as alluring as cocaine. Okay? And when they feel that, then they're like, oh, I used to be an atheist. No, you fucking didn't. You never really thought about it. You just said you were. Okay?
Yeah, I really hate it when people do that. Like,
Yeah,
you know, I was an atheist, but it's just...
The fucking good news is, here I am, the hardest atheist in this group. I am not a fucking agnostic. I deny the existence of God, and I can fucking give arguments for it. And I'm a strict naturalist, and I have a very, very deep faith. And I got that. And it feels the same as these two over here. And I get all the benefits from that, and I don't gotta fucking believe in any bullshit. So, I mean, that's the message that we need to get out there. That if you want to live a good life and you want to lean back into something called, the big warm blanket of faith, it has nothing to do with what you believe. It's a skill. It's an art of living your life. That's how you do it. Fucking atheists need to understand this and stop pissing on the word faith and start pissing on the word dogma and belief.
I agree with you, actually, 100%. I do. Now, except for the part where you're the most atheist person here. Like, I want to fight you on that one.
No, I'm more atheist than both of y'all.
I'm more atheist than you guys.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay,
I have a certificate. I have a certificate.
Hey, motherfuckers, I have a 9.
Do any of you have the certificate?
I have a certificate.
BS does. I know BS and I. Sorry, we.
Dave, I have a
We have a
9.5 inch. I have a 9.5 inch atheist.
God damn.
Okay, we're gonna play some more video. Getting us all stirred up. Getting us atheists all stirred up.
Dang atheists getting everything stirred up.
Yeah.
That's what's wrong with this world. Is you atheists getting things stirred up.
Yep.
Because their arguments were so bad. And the tone didn't bother me as much, but the substance of the arguments were I knew were simply wrong.
Yep, some suck.
Even not from a Christian perspective.
The substance was wrong. I'm not going to state the argument. I'm just going to say the substance was wrong.
Social justice is a Christian concept. It didn't exist before Jesus.
He said it again. Okay, listen to that.
Historical and scientific and justice perspective. The whole idea of social justice is a Christian concept. It didn't exist before Jesus.
And he claims to have studied history. Come on, Cy.
I'm just wondering which authors, are they like popular books that you get off the bookshelf of a Lifeway Christian store or Amazon for Christians or whatever, or if he actually, the person is a sitting professor at a university with well-respected, history writings.
I'd settle for some cogent arguments. I'm not even hearing that. I'm hearing nothing specific.
Yeah, I'm just hearing statements about my opinions about arguments.
Well,
And
that's Jesus.
and he's
that
getting
Jesus
things.
guy.
Yeah, he's getting things wrong that he's supposed to know too.
I know.
We're not
whole thing
challenging
is-
that he's getting astronomy wrong. He's getting biology and history wrong, the two things he said he studied.
Right. The whole thing reeks of Orwellian propaganda. It's the whole, weakness is strength, slavery is freedom kind of a thing. Because, in his world view, inequality is equality. Right. Christianity is overtly, blatantly, strongly anti-equality, and yet he presents it as pro-equality. Right. You wouldn't even have the concept of social equality if it weren't for Christians. And I'm like, your religion's directly contrasting equality. Like, come on. Like, at least make an argument. So he's just saying things and hoping people will just take it at face value.
Jesus out there.
We had Einstein and
Hey,
we had Newton, and then we had Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ was this genius who one day stood up on his podium and he said, hey, if we all be nice to each other, maybe we'll all get along better. I mean, Jesus invented that shit, right? It's like, come on, Cy, come on. Listen to yourself before you talk. Fuck. Okay.
And it's the matter of fact thing. It's like, oh yeah, this is just a fact that nobody behaved until Jesus came along.
Oh my God. Anyway.
Retirement income.
And I was saying it out loud. I was watching this video last night, and I'm talking out loud to the screen. I'm like, no, Scott, Cy, what are you saying that for, Cy? Oh, come on, man.
Yeah, I'm just not agreeing with Cy much this morning.
Yeah, this morning.
Oh, yeah. So I'm really encouraged
So I
to
guess
hear
that's a
you.
long answer to that question.
No, that's a great answer to that question. But I'm so encouraged to hear you say that you feel like things are changing, because obviously, I've been talking to atheists for a couple years, and I've had so much hurt and pain over the fact that nobody came to Christ in that entire time. And so,
yeah, Rebecca, because your coming to Christ involved me thinking that fucking rocks were 6,000 years old. Christ's sake, Rebecca.
You worst apologist ever.
Where were we on the dinosaur thing?
I like, how does an organ just pop into existence? Like, how does a non-liver animal give birth to an animal with a liver? That's her fucking level of thinking.
Yeah,
that's what she came at us with. And then those boring fucking videos we had to watch, Dave.
Does she not understand how long that takes to happen?
I don't think she quite gets it. But of course, she thinks that everything had to happen within 6,000 years. So, I mean, oh my God, I'm losing it.
But like, I'm having hope in what you're hearing that, eventually when all of these, things fail, there's still, truth to be discovered in Christ.
Yeah. And I mentioned
He's
Tom
speechless.
Holland, but in the book,
And that one always bothered. What is the truth?
That I'm talking about, but in fact, in the Justin Brierley book, the secular thinkers include people like Jordan Peterson, Dave Rubin, I mentioned Holland, and others as well, and
Dave Rubin and Jordan Peterson,
and Douglas Murray told Brierley that several of his very intelligent friends had converted to Christianity in very recent years. And that's why in a room or in a place.
What the hell?
And Brierley has that sense, having talked to so many intellectuals, many of them either atheists or agnostics.
I had a lag problem.
And hearing a change in the tone. They're not Christians necessarily, but they're not yelling about Christianity the way the new atheists did. They're not literally screaming, don't don't be shy. Tell them they're stupid. Tell them they're crazy.
Well,
That was the new.
maybe they are screaming, but Cy is losing his hearing.
I don't know. Yeah.
Also,
I'm still screaming.
And that's baloney, because that's a crap Brett gave me that I was calling her stupid. And I said, show me where I ever said that. Well, maybe you didn't use those words.
Well, those exact
yeah, well, that
words.
makes a big difference, doesn't it? If I didn't
That's
use
your
those-
tone. But there's another saying. It's very proverbial that two anecdotes do not equal data. In other words, what he's doing, he's talking about all the people he quote unquote hears about, but none of that equals a trend. It doesn't equal valid data. There's a way to study trends, even among thinking in the United States, even among academics, and that's to give a blind survey. Why not do that? Well, he probably doesn't have the retirement income for it, but if he writes a popular Christian book, he will.
Oh yes, and we all know how popular Christian books are and how rich people who write them become. Even though some of them become exposed for writing bullshit. Let's see, what was it? There was that one book that was written by somebody in a wheelchair that turned out to be false. It was a fraud, because apparently the child described going to heaven. And a lot of people believe that. For some reason.
and it was all fed to him by his father.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm still waiting to hear one single fact known to humanity that Christianity can be credited for. One fact about the world that we live in, physics, the lived experience, humanity, one fact. One. And he hasn't named any, right? It's just all this vague stuff.
Yeah, he's got these 2 or 3 anecdotes in his petri dish, and he's just waiting for one more anecdote, and that'll make data.
Okay.
9, 10. And that's not happening anymore. And what's amazing to me is, and I of a video where David Silverman, who was one of the worst atheists, head of the American Atheist Group, is in discussing with Peter Boghossian, another very well-known, very militant atheist, about what's happening in the atheist community in the United States, and they're very upset about it because what they're finding is that it's sort of falling apart. And
Okay, so let's mention that Silverman was ousted from the in his position in the American Atheists as for sexual indiscretions, right? And so, like, this is the guy that they're going to use to talk about wokeism. So, anyway.
and it's dissolving into animosity, hatred. So I was
Yeah, I
watched
amazed
that
to hear
whole
what I
video
heard
that you gave me.
from the
Yeah, I
200.
watched
You want
that.
to show that?
Yeah, I'll show the clip. Yeah, and
Yes.
I watched that whole video. It is very interesting.
Right.
Yeah, here we go. Okay.
Rather have your child be a moderate Christian? Because I can easily answer that question. You're thinking, Dave's thinking about it.
I mean, my child is a woke atheist and they won't speak to me.
Oh, did you get
Okay,
the beginning of that?
So
They won't speak to you because you're a fucking pig.
Your
Right?
son is a woke atheist?
Yeah,
I mean, it's okay being an atheist, but woke?
You're a
what is
woke
that?
atheist, right?
Oh, God, I hate that term.
Yeah, the reason your kid won't speak to you is because you're a pig. Come on.
And
Yeah,
I'm thinking,
yeah.
and I'm like,
Directly.
am I listening to Matt
that?
Walsh? You know, I'm like, what is this crap?
That woke
It's
part,
woke.
Yeah.
Woke. I don't even know what woke is, but I hate woke. And it's
Yeah,
like,
I hate the woke. Yeah.
I'm sitting there going, oh no, my brain.
Yeah.
This was very traumatic.
Traumatic.
I almost screwed that word up. This was very traumatic to me last night.
PTSD there, Dave. You got some
Yeah,
PTSD.
that's why I needed the bright colors today. I
Okay.
needed to. Yeah.
Let's see how Dave answers.
You don't have to answer it
I
if
should
you
just
want.
introduce it. Peter Boghossian, who is on the left side of the screen, had asked Dave Silverman whether he would prefer his child to be would convert to moderate Christianity, or wokeism. The whole idea of, I don't know, whatever wokeism is, but it's an atheist based philosophy or ideology.
No,
it's not.
He admitted he doesn't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but I know the atheists
Us
would
atheists,
claim.
yeah. Well, us atheists invented that shit, man. It's just like Jesus Christ invented.
all the bad things, atheist.
Yeah, and Jesus Christ was like the original woke, right? I mean, like, wasn't he just saying that a minute ago? Social justice and all this shit, right?
For the record, woke comes out of being aware of racial, or not just racial, but injustices.
Yeah, social injustice. Yeah,
Social injustice. Thank you. That's the word. Social injustice. And everybody is. I mean, they talk about it all the time. Even the ones on the far Trump side here, all of a sudden realized jail wasn't so nice when the January 6th people were there.
Right.
Yeah,
So even they're realizing, hey, wait a minute, some of these things don't quite seem fair. And hello, you're woke.
Yeah.
there are very few places in my town that I can go where I fear being shot to death by a white cop, or a black one for that matter.
Yeah.
I will not be shot by a cop if I go out somewhere tonight. That's not true of other people of my age and locality. They just might be shot to death for, oops, I accidentally shot this guy. He really didn't have a gun, but
You
well.
understand.
Literally, that guy was eating McDonald's in his car,
Yeah,
and he got shot.
He was going for his hamburger.
Yeah.
loaded hamburger.
That is so fucked up. Actually, now that I'm wondering, how likely are albinos to get shot? That's what I like. That's the statistics I want. How likely are albinos to get shot?
Well, they'd have to see you first, and they can't.
Somehow I knew you were gonna go there. Holy shit.
Anyway, okay. Let's see what Dave says.
So he asked, which would you prefer your kid to turn to? And David is now thinking to give an answer.
Honestly, no, I'm not going to cop out of this. I'm actually thinking about what I would prefer. I mean, so
Think it through aloud with us.
I would think it through. Okay, so Christian is a myth. Wokeism is a myth. Would I rather have my kid
Wokeism is a
moderate
myth.
Christian?
So just to be
And that's
clear,
a disgusting thing to be. That's a disgusting place to be. That's a disgusting place to be. We live in a bizarre world. It's crazy. You just made me say that. It's wrong. It's true though. If my daughter was a moderate Christian, she'd be cool,
right?
right?
His daughter was a moderate Christian.
Oh, his problem is his daughter is not cool.
not cool. Yeah, so he'd rather she be a Christian so she'd get cool, and then she'd forgive him for whatever the fuck he did. They got him in all the trouble.
And once again, woke. Might as well be LOL.
So
LOL.
David Silverman's he's a
LOL.
conservative, and he's getting he's basically reaping what he has sown as a conservative, as well as a sexual predator or whatever he was ousted for, and that's his daughter's fault.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, let's see. I've got some articles about him. I haven't really paid, but okay. I don't know if they know this or not, but atheists are people too, and there are good ones and bad ones.
And you notice what I was telling you about. These are his sources. Okay, this is who Psy is repeating.
Yeah, that's amazing. I don't think Psy quite knows the whole story behind Silverman. I don't know.
Does he watch Fox News every night? Does anybody? Actually, that used to be more relevant than.
Might be Newsmax. It might be one step beyond.
Yeah, but Silverman said wokeism is false. What the fuck? So I asked ChatGPT what wokeism is. Colloquial and sometimes pejorative term that has been used in political and cultural discussion. Anyway, stands for acknowledgement of systemic injustices. Okay. Tell George Floyd that that's not a thing. Identity politics, cultural appropriation, cancel culture, the practice of publicly calling out and boycotting individuals, brands, or works that are deemed offensive or problematic. So
Like
I
Bud
used to
Light.
call, you know what I used to call that? I used to call that voting with my dollar.
Didn't they boycott Bud Light and green M&Ms?
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty woke.
So Matt Walsh is woke. Oh,
Yeah.
all
Well,
right.
actually,
Thank you,
conservatives
ChatGPT.
anymore, they say they're going to boycott Bud Light, but man, they still drink it. In fact, a lot
Kid
of
Rock.
conservatives have stock in it as they're shooting it with
Kid
their
Rock. Yeah, Kid
rivals.
Rock blasted some cases of it, and then a month later somebody snapped a picture of him drinking one.
Drinking it, right. Yeah, well, I used to wake up in the back of a car at about maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon in the hot sun, driving across some fucking vast desert, and the only thing available was some 3-2 Pfeiffer's beer, and I would just drink that shit. I don't know. Anyway, bringing back memories for me. Bringing back memories. Okay, I'm going to go on.
They can do whatever they want. Wokeism is divisive. Wokeism is ignorant. Wokeism is wrong, so is Christianity, but Christianity is not nearly as divisive or ignorant, especially when it's moderate. So
Yeah, it has a compassionate element.
Yes, it
but I
is.
would not.
Yeah.
Yes, but I would not raise my child with that intention.
No, for sure. But if you were given your choice, so if you were given a choice, you'd rather have a moderate Christian than a woke atheist.
Yeah, that's really interesting because that is the former president of
Roosevelt.
the American Atheists, right?
Yes. And Peter Boghossian then says, a couple of minutes later, he says, well, for me, there's no question about it. I absolutely.
I mean, you can understand why Silverman is on a pulpit about wokeism, right? Because he got fucking canceled. His ass got canceled, and his ass is still stinging from that cancellation. And apparently, his daughter even canceled him.
Yeah,
Shit, David Silverman.
And the right wingers are the only ones that want to talk to him.
these are
And these-
two canceled conservatives getting together and whining.
Yeah, these two don't understand the history at all. So they're using him as, oh, he was a president of the American Atheists, so obviously he's right.
So Rebecca glows a little more every time she says those atheists.
Yeah.
She
I
kind
can
of
see
does.
I can see Jesus glowing in her. She kind of glows with Jesus, doesn't she? I don't know.
She blushes. She blushes too.
I think she would be so grateful you see that in her. I think she'd
wonder,
probably fall in love with you a little.
I wonder if she went to Walmart and she said, I need some desk lights that'll make me glow like Jesus.
Her lighting is terrible in this video, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a little washed. But
It's a little
I think it's
bright.
pretty good. I don't know.
Be a moderate Christian than than an atheist, a woke atheist or whatever. And that is astonishing to me. That's like hearing, I don't know, somebody who you think is a strong Democrat coming out with some Republican. I mean,
my
David
God.
Silverman was so horrendous when he was running that organization. He had all kinds of really hostile anti-Christian stuff going on. And Boghossian also, not quite as bad, but he was very clearly anti-Christian, very much an atheist. And they would rather that their kids become Christian, moderate, whatever that means. I mean, I guess he means not, crazy fundamentalists, or whatever that's defined as.
Like Rebecca.
Rebecca.
He's right. Like, look to your right, Sal. Your side. It's like that's Rebecca. Crazy fundamentalist. Oh my God.
Thank you,
He'd
Sal.
rather have them believe that
Did you see her swallow? She's
Yeah.
got to choke that back.
Yeah. Her expression
Jesus
dropped
Christ.
right off.
from the dead and is our savior, than have them continue in atheism and absorb all this woke ideology, which is very, I don't know what even, I can't even define it.
know what it is.
They're very upset about it because
I don't know what it is, but I'm against it.
I can't stand this woke. What those crazy people? They're atheists. They're woke. Whatever that is, I don't know. Whatever that
I
is.
don't
He
know
said
what
it
it
a couple
is.
times. Whatever that is, it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
but I know it's really
Oh.
bad for you, whatever it is.
Here's a hint, Si. You say Siri's or Alexa or Google or whatever your
Yeah.
voice command is. What does
ChatGPT.
woke mean?
Okay,
Christ.
I want to add that the other elements are inclusive language and terminology. Isn't that horrible? Equity versus equality, intersectionality. I mean, these are just horrible principles. It almost reads like the fucking Ten Commandments, for Christ's sake. Wokeism. It's so horrible. I don't know what it is, but I hate it. Oh, this is rich.
And if you would read it to them with something else, you know, call it, hey, this is ABC. It's the new slang, right?
Yeah.
And ABC means all the things you just said. Both of them would probably say, wow, that sounds great.
Anti-liberal progressive? I don't know what the fuck that is either. Anyway. Okay.
With the rest of the atheist community over some allegations, which I don't know the details about.
Yeah.
So
I
there.
know. I don't know.
Well, I
should
will
know.
say, yeah, I will say this. You know, one thing that he said in that video that I really appreciated was he said, you know, I'm frustrated with the atheists because they should be skeptics, but they're not skeptics. And,
Right.
you know, and
Right.
to
We're not
have that
Um,
coming from the former president of the American Atheists, I think that acknowledgement was really, I appreciated that because that's how I feel. Like, I feel like I've talked to so many atheists and I feel that their skepticism is only directed in one direction, toward God. Anything else, they're not
Right.
skeptical about at
Right.
all. They are they have no skepticism for.
I
their
take
own-
I
That
take
is
offense to that.
That is bullshit. And go
my-
ahead.
My channel covers a lot of things. Thank you. I cover a lot of things.
Okay, she's talking about me here, I think, because she has emailed me and said, I can't talk to you about evolution anymore because you just believe in evolution and you're biased because, you know, you believe in evolution. So
I wanted
that's
to
what
make a
she's
point about
frustrated
that.
about.
You know, for an atheist to say that they accept evolution as fact, Rebecca will say, "Oh, you're not being skeptical." But if Sai, a Christian, accepts evolution as fact, he is being properly skeptical.
Yeah.
This is-
Interesting. Yeah.
I would just want to know where Rebecca formed that opinion and why she thinks, like me, approaches other things in life as a non-skeptic. Like, I get spam and I don't click on it because I'm skeptical. I do comparison pricing and product research because I'm skeptical. Where exactly is she accusing us of not being skeptical?
Yeah, I don't know. She doesn't think I'm skeptical about a non-livered organism giving birth to a livered organism.
And what if I had become a Christian because of her testimony? Would it have been because I'm skeptical?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or does it matter if I'm skeptical as long as I become a believer?
And
Right, that's what she's saying.
Yeah, she needs to explain herself quite a bit more. And believe me, I had studied on and considered and read about the God positions long before she came along. So where am I not being skeptical? Where is the skepticism lacking?
I'm skeptical because I've gotten kicked off twice.
Really? Well,
And if I'm
Maybe
the
I
exception
turned
to that,
I turned my camera off. Maybe it's getting overloaded. So
Okay.
we'll see.
and
Is
if
it
I'm the
street-
exception to that, where's her data that shows that most people, you know, who claim to be skeptical are like, you know, read the National Enquirer as a serious news source or something like that. What does it mean to be skeptical in her eyes?
You know, and there being a lot of atheists that have bad arguments and not being skeptical says nothing about atheism itself. Atheists are people, and you're gonna have a wide fucking spectrum of different levels of education, right, reasoning skills and whatever, and it just, oh my god. this idea that atheists, are just, not being skeptical. That's what's wrong with them.
Right, but she's fine with it if Christians aren't being skeptical. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
She
Just
doesn't.
live
She
from the
doesn't
can
like.
ham.
She doesn't like when I'm skeptical at all.
No, skeptical is what makes her angry.
Made
You're
her
the
real
ath-
angry.
You're the atheist of the month who got kicked off her channel.
I am an atheist of the month that is also a troll.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
I think we need to get
that.
you a reward. An award for that, a
I know,
plaque or
I-
something.
Needs to
Well,
be
we'll
a-
say that I no longer wear the atheist label myself. I don't identify as one anymore.
Snake
I
and
was- I want to say to Snake real quick. Put some sources
yeah, come on, yeah.
in
And
the comments so that Speed can put those in the description.
yeah,
Or you can come on and name some sources. That'd be great too.
I don't want to get into that conversation with Snake.
Okay, then put some sources.
It's like what is it? Oh my god, him and Jay are going at it. Good.
Yeah, you can email some links or just some bibliographical that big word about books, bibliographical material. You can email those to Speed at Answers an Atheist. What's the
Oh, you gotta send it to my fucking personal Mike.Bruznak account.
Mike.Bruznak, Bruzenak
Yep.
at gmail.com.
Yep.
So I want to say hi real quick to Al.
But I'm very interested in what Taylor has to say, and I'd sure like to look at some source material. Something I never hear on Rebecca's channel, but I haven't heard on Si's opinion yet.
And I want to shout out to my man Trees out there and everybody else in the chat.
Oh,
That's not true. There was that
we
one
got-
book. I forget the name of it. By that Geisner guy or Geisner. I'll look it up in a minute.
Briar?
Yeah, Brierly. He did cite that book generally.
I just bought that book.
Oh,
today,
good. Look
so-
through it and let me know about the references and bibliography.
Okay. Referring to what? What are we referring to?
I just want to know what kind of statistical data is being used, or if he's just
for
talking to
atheists,
other
yeah.
quote unquote academics. In which case, you do a survey of academics. You don't just do anecdotes.
Yeah, I want to point out in the book that Cy did a chapter in, what the fuck is it called here? Coming to Faith Through Dawkins. Basically, at the end of it, there's a woman who's a friend of Cy's who was doing a lot of psychedelics, and she claimed she got out of her psychedelic addiction by finding Jesus. And she does a little story, and I have a whole fucking lot to say to her. She had a legitimate bad trip on LSD, where she thought her fucking dog was stalking her and all kinds of shit, and she went through a whole, and then she went into the New Age bullshit, the yoga, fucking Baba Ram Dass, and completely misunderstood the Buddhist aspect, and then she ended up somehow, her and her husband ended up in church, and she gave herself to Jesus, and then it was over, and that one kind of irritated me because that's an example of fucking up the whole psychedelic thing again. We don't want to fuck it up again. Anyway,
Okay, here's a radical thought.
does anybody know what the fuck I'm talking about?
I do. Somebody fucked up
Yep.
with the psychedelics.
Yeah, okay.
And
They pissed me off.
they
And
pissed
the
you off.
dog and the dog part sounds like an episode for Trees and I to cover. So,
Oh god, you ought to read her story. It's really cool. She had and then she went and looked in the mirror, and she had like chunks of flesh dripping off of her. She did a lot of acid. and her friend
I used to watch Poltergeist too.
yeah, she said to her friend something about a bad trip, and her friend said, "Don't say anything about bad trips. You might have one." And then she started to have one, and it was like, wow, what a fucking trip.
very, very suggestible.
Very, very funny.
Okay, here is my question, or see if anybody disagrees with me. Perhaps if a person goes to a not so fundamentalist Christian church and begins there as a believer, I'm going to say true believer, but I don't mean the hyper fanatic type, just somebody who sincerely is pursuing the ethical and personal and even spiritual practices of the Christian faith in some form. Maybe that's a stepping stone for them to something better, or something different, such as the fact that there's a way to enlightenment that involves taking up a religion, following the practices, until such a time that you are ready to realize that there is an enlightenment beyond religion.
Right.
And that you can pursue that. And that, like, one thing I consider myself now is just somebody who seeks to find joy and grounding and purpose in the being of life.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to describe it much beyond that. I am searching for ways to describe that experience.
Okay,
that's not my goal. My goal is to be in a more meaningful way.
The Buddhists talk about vehicles, basically different vehicles to get you to the place that you're going. And one of the vehicles can be Christianity. But the Buddhists also, they talk about it as putting on a coat. You put on a belief like you put on a coat. And then when you get to where you're going, you take your coat off. And that's the part that they miss, right? I mean, there are a lot of paths to this enlightenment feeling, this feeling of giving yourself up to faith, right? And that's the part that they all miss. They get stuck in Christianity, and then pretty soon they're defending Christianity and they're going further and further into the dogma, and they completely lose their faith. They completely lose that initial feeling that they went after. And that I have a problem with. And the Buddhists have words for that too.
To borrow your analogy, I have the problem when somebody like Sai puts on the lab coat and starts saying, I'm looking under the microscope and I see Jesus.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you don't.
Yeah, no, not
James, were you going to say something?
Oh, no, I have nothing to add at this time.
I'm sorry. I thought you spoke up or something, and I might have talked over you, and I didn't want to do that.
No, I can't remember. It wasn't important. Sure. I think so.
Yeah, there's all sorts of cautionary tales that can take place.
I think Snake is the most focused person in this chat. Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat.
No, I really want to see some of his source material because I'm excited that he's finding that to be a rich topic to dig into.
Wookiees.
I like the name. Okay, okay, Snake. I'm a Wookiee or a Wokester. You know, I'm a little older, so you probably call me a Wokester, right? It's more appropriate for older gentlemen. Anyway, fucking crazy.
Or there is a point where you just say, I'm too old to fall for that shit, you know. And it's not that, I don't know. When you're trying to put an ideal on it, the one source that I remember hearing the term woke from was a bunch of the people that kind of circulated through the Larry Wilmore show, which was kind of a spinoff of The Daily Show. It didn't last very long, but I really enjoyed it. And they used the term woke a lot, and that kind of made me.
You know what? I like that. Philosopher Wookiee. That's staying. New term.
But anyway.
Philosopher Wookiee. Sorry to interrupt you, Scott.
That's quite all right. I am interruptible.
I'm triggered by atheists who are adopting the woke religion.
I had a new term. We came up with a new term last week, philosophy-weasel.
Wookie, Weasel, yes.
For Bernardo Kastrup, he's a Weasel.
Oh wait, wouldn't you call Danny a Weasel as well?
No, he's a Weenie.
Oh,
Yeah, come on, man, get your terms right.
all these new terms: Weenie, Weasel, Wookie.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna play more video, guys. We gotta stoke the fire.
Worldview. And so that has
Whoa.
been like a major source of frustration for me. And it was kind of, cathartic to hear someone who has been deeply part of that community and a leader in that
Right.
community say that has been his experience, and that rather than, facing and having a dialogue about things they disagreed about, they turned on him and just heaped abuse on him and basically turned against him with hate and everything. And that's kind of what I've experienced. I feel like, there's just just been total hate and abuse heaped on me anyway, but go ahead.
Again, Rebecca, it's because of the 6,000-year-old bullshit. That's why you're getting a lot of heat. Other than that, we would have just gotten along so well.
She sees abuse where there's not any abuse. I remember it wasn't that long ago in private messaging that she accused me of bullying her and being hateful because I was asking her questions.
Yeah.
Wasn't
That's all I
it
did.
an entire stream? I remember her doing an entire stream of reading one of your blog posts, and she was accusing you of
Oh, you didn't like
bullying,
her.
I guess.
You didn't like her book.
She did an entire stream one time where she was calling me out, basically doing a mental health check, accusing me of being extremely mentally unwell just because I think that there's a culture war. Because even using the word war in any
How about
context,
gaslighting?
right? Yeah, it was gaslighting. So I defended myself pretty well on that. But yeah, she sees hate wherever she feels unappreciated or unvalidated. So, it's just an emotional state of being for her, and I feel bad for her. But most of the time, again, most of the time that she accuses other people of being hateful, they're not being hateful, right? Dave, for example, wasn't being a troll on her channel, right? It's just how she feels, and she transfers that to other people.
And Sal told her I was being a troll because Sal's called me a troll and blocked me all over the place. So
Yeah, now that
I know
Sal
there was-
blocked her now, right? So
yeah, I know there was something whispering in her ear, but
We need to cancel culture. I'm pretty sure the universe would implode if you cancel culture.
Yeah, cancel culture sounds like this horrible thing, but if you ask ChatGPT, it means the practice of publicly calling out and boycotting individuals, brands, or works that are deemed offensive or problematic. Who the fuck doesn't agree with that, with doing that? I mean, if you don't like-
But ChatGPT is also biased.
Oh,
In a
fuck
way.
it is. ChatGPT reads the entire internet.
yeah, both sides of the political spectrum do that. I mean, I can't. The hyper conservatives are always looking for someone new to boycott. Whether it's a beer for a commercial
Yeah.
they didn't like, or Mickey Mouse, or
Yeah,
they're always looking for
and
something to
Disney.
cancel.
You see what you started, Snake?
And the thing is, Midnight,
Yes.
there is no way to program. I don't think you could program an AI system to be biased. What you do is you turn it loose on the data. You have no idea how it comes up with what it comes up with. The math is far too complex for that. This idea that ChatGPT is biased, that could only happen if they limited what it looked at. They never let it look at Fox News or anything like that.
I mean, I think that's
don't
what
think
they think that's what they did to nerf it, but could be
I don't-
wrong. I don't know.
Well, I could be wrong too, but it would be really hard to program in bias. So anyway, okay, we're gonna go forward here.
No, I think that that video and coming out at the same time as our book came out and as Justin Brierley's book came out, it's like those three things put together, and then now I'm starting to see all over the place. New atheism is dead.
Atheism's over.
Now, people just not even talking about it anymore. It's no longer a thing. Even Richard Dawkins himself, believe it or not, is not engaging in issues of atheism versus Christianity. He's engaging in other issues. He's very involved in the whole gender thing. He's saying that the whole gender ideology is not scientific. he's involved in several issues, but he's not debating Christians and he's not talking about the evils of Christianity anymore.
By the way, Robert Sapolsky did a video that I recommend for everybody about the gender issue. And he explains it from a neurologist and behavioralist point of view. And he describes it as the spectrum that it is, and he does a really good job. And Dawkins needs to shut his fucking mouth.
Wait, what is he?
And what?
What?
Well, you said Dawkins needs to shut his fucking mouth about what? I
Oh,
heard you say somebody. Go ahead.
Dawkins is going. He entered the transgender wars on. You can guess which side, and he got himself into a bit of hot water.
You mean always wrong, Dawkins?
Always wrong, Dawkins.
He's showing his age. Yeah, I don't understand this stuff. Oh,
I don't want to use them pronouns. I grew up talking with a certain kind of pronoun, and I ain't gonna use a new one. Anyway, I don't know. I don't follow the Dawkins thing, but I know he got in some trouble. But anyway,
well, and in a way, I feel sorry because they do these things. They stick these microphones in these people's faces, and they ask them these social issue questions just to stir things up. So
everybody has a fucking opinion, right? And I mean, you're going to run into all kinds of fucking people that have an opinion about this shit. And it doesn't matter whether they're atheists or what they are. So I got to find that Sapolsky.
I don't know what this gender ideology is, but I don't like it.
Like it.
I don't like this wokeism either. I have no clue what it is, but boy, I don't like that either.
Some bad shit.
That CRT, those are some letters I can remember, so I don't like that either.
Oh shit!
I never did like them cathode ray tubes. They'd blow out, and you'd have to get another one all the time.
Oh my God! Fresh roasted coffee just sent me an email. There's 20% off on all fair trade selections.
I'd be skeptical of that.
I don't know.
Otherwise, Rebecca will doubt your.
He's going to get a delivery.
Oh yeah. Be skeptical of everything, Mike. Speed. Be skeptical of everything, not just God. Like.
Yeah, but I'm an atheist.
You're skeptical.
I'm an atheist. I can't be skeptical.
Yeah, I don't believe in it.
And neither one of them could be skeptical of God.
Okay, here's the Sapolsky video. I'm going to link it in the description.
Yeah, link in the description. I need to.
Everybody ought to watch this. It kind of explains a whole lot.
A whole lot about what?
A whole lot about gender issues. Brain and gender, basically.
Icarus said CRT ruined my eyes.
Shit.
Don't sit so close to the TV. You're going to ruin your eyes.
Now, let me put this over here so I don't have to interrupt our video.
Now, hold on. CRT can also stand for criminal rehabilitation treatment.
We don't have that here.
Yeah, no, we don't, do we?
It's not allowed anymore.
That's not a word here.
See, we need to do some CRT. What do you mean? Criminal rehabilitation therapy or treatment?
No.
What the fuck did I do with this?
Unless you were in the January 6th riots, then you should have first class accommodation.
Dude, it's been, how long has it been? 2 years at this point? Yeah, holy shit.
That was kind of like our 9/11. I don't know, or a new 9/11.
It was when I was watching unfold on TV, I was wondering what's going to happen next. Was something going to go boom or what?
I mean,
I had thoughts.
I kind of like stopped thinking of myself as a real strong patriot when I was like 24 years old, and so I don't have that like patriotic, wave of flight shit. But when I saw that January 6th thing, I was like everything about that I thought about America seemed to shatter in my mind. I'm like, what in the fuck is happening right now? Have we suddenly turned into some fucking South American country, with all that crazy ass shit they do down there? I mean, it was just really weird.
Sitting there with the mouth open and wide-eyed, just like, what?
What the fuck? Like, that's hallowed ground, man. for every American, no matter how fucking patriotic you are. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna play some more video.
Roll
I
that
have
beautiful
heard,
beacon photo.
and this is, I can't quote this because it's sort of just people talking, but in Britain, where of course Dawkins is, and many other famous new atheists are, a lot of people are starting to say, we don't believe in Jesus Christ, we don't believe in Christianity, but, and this was also came out in this video, but what's happening is there's another religion which is taking over the UK, and that's Islam. And many people there are feeling that, well, maybe Christianity would be better than Islam because, of various reasons, which I don't get into. I don't know if it's true or not. But in other words, all of this is taking away.
He just said it again. Islam's worse than Christianity, but I don't know that. I've just heard some things.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Can I also
over and over and over? He's. This is what I'm sitting here going, what? You don't know? You don't. Google it. Google. And then he said something earlier that, or maybe it's not yet to come, about when he looked into religions. Well, he checked out Islam, but he heard some things about it, so that was enough. He dismissed it.
Well, people that wear white shirts are a lot worse than people that wear blue shirts, because the people that flew into the towers in 9/11 were all wearing white shirts.
Oh,
so.
Okay, can I just wanted to say that the last part of the title, Jesus' love will find you, is kind of creepy.
Oh, is that what it says? Jesus Christ's love will find you. Oh,
yes. Did you not see that? I'm blind and I saw that.
I didn't see that.
Because that's that's the arrogant default. If you just, maybe I believe in something. Well, then you're a Christian. You have to be a Christian because Christianity started it all, and there was no social justice or anything for Christianity. So, of course, the default has to be Christianity. You couldn't possibly consider another religion. It never enters their mind.
Thanks, Midnight. Now I'm going to sleep with my butt clenched together tonight.
Well, I wasn't going that far, but it was creepy. It's like Jesus' love will find you. Where are you hiding, little Timmy? Oh shit!
Jesus loves you has a different meaning in jail.
Oh God! Is that what happened? Is that what happened to David Woods?
Moving on.
Praise midnight.
Era of Christianity that atheists have been, plugging and promoting for 15 years. And what's happening is they're not doing it as much anymore. I mean, some still will, but many are not. Michael Shermer, another very famous atheist, head of Skeptics. I don't remember the name of it. Or maybe he was the editor of Skeptics magazine. He's said a few things that, are very mild compared to the kinds of things he used to say. And so what does all this mean? I mean, that's the question. If this is true, it may not be true at all. It may just be a brief moment of
pause the tape real quick.
What does it all mean, Scott?
First, I think Michael Shermer's been in trouble too. He seems to be finding bitter atheists who have gotten in trouble from their mouth and what their mouth and their behavior has done.
Yeah.
And those guys have calmed down.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
They got canceled.
I just don't see objectivity in here. Maybe you don't pretend to be objective, but you're cobbling together anecdotes, kind of like you would do Christmas lights. It's not the same as working the data and coming up with a trend. Christmas lights look like they could be a trend line, but they're not. So a trend line has to do with data and graphs and statistics and things like that. That will let us know if there's something going on. That kind of social analysis. Please do it, or point to somebody who's actually done it and let us know if they've done it, because saying this guy named Brierly said something doesn't really do much to show that any changes are really taking place. old bitter guys who got caught being bad is not the same as a movement crashing.
And Brierly also leans YEC too. So,
Oh, does he?
Again,
There we go.
what Cy just said about, oh, well, you know, the extremists in the religions. Well, yeah, he leans YEC too, and he also had that famous video out about rolling the dice. Remember that one? And a lot of people debunked it. That rolling the dice proves God video or whatever, and he got raked over the coals for that one.
There isn't a Christian in these rooms that doesn't secretly have this fantasy that any day now science is going to prove God, or everybody is just going to suddenly fall over and start accepting Jesus in their heart, and it's all going to be good, or there's going to be a fucking Armageddon. Jesus is going to come down here, kick our asses. I mean, these are their fantasies.
Why doesn't he already? Come on, Jesus!
I don't know.
Come down here and kick my ass! I beg you.
I don't know. He has some requirements, like he basically phoned ahead 2,000 years ago in Revelations, and I think he laid down some terms of the agreement before he comes back.
Hey,
I don't know what.
Yeah,
Midnight, can I use that as my ringtone?
What?
Can I use that as my ringtone?
Go ahead. I want royalties though. Every time the phone rings, I want 5 cents.
We need some earthquakes and some wars or rumors of wars, and then Jesus comes back.
You can have royalties,
and that's very specific. I mean, those things just don't happen every day.
Yeah, he's got, like, there's some requirements about Israel too, right? They're dying for something to happen over there. I don't know what the fuck.
I think the temple has to be rebuilt, doesn't it?
I don't know. Like right now, I reached
Where's
out
Nitty?
to,
Where's Nitty?
I reached out to Manny Karen because he's over there, and I'm not sure if he's in the heart of that shit or not. But anyway,
well, I certainly hope he's well, and that his family as well. And there's some friends that I met a few months ago, a couple of years ago, actually, by now, here in Fort Worth, who were here on extended assignment, and they've moved back to Israel, and I'm kind of wondering about them. So, yeah, there are lots of people out there that we probably collectively all know a bunch of people who are affected, and I'm just, wishing the best for.
Tux mentioned that video I told you about, Mike, in the chat with Alex O'Connor and Peter Hitchinson.
Oh, Tux did when?
Hitchens, I mean.
Did he link it?
He was saying he just saw it. It just dropped. I said, yeah, I saw it just earlier.
Oh, I think I actually have that up somewhere. I'm not sure. That was Hitchens versus D'Souza.
In case anybody hasn't seen it, yeah, basically he got a little upset and told Alex, I don't like you, and got up and left. So
okay.
Yeah, I think his exact words were, I actively dislike you.
Actively dislike you.
Oh my God. Okay. More video.
It's not really a big sea change, but it's possible that this is actually a reality. And there are other signs, which are also very subtle, that Christianity is catching on college campuses.
No.
It's catching on among Generation Z. I mean, I can't back this up with literature, okay? But it's my own sense.
I got a feeling.
Really strong atheism of, let's say, 2 or 3 years ago. Even. I think
hooked on the feeling. I'm high on believing.
There you go. I think that kind of sums it there, Dave.
I always felt.
I love that song.
It's a great song, and it's got a relevant message.
Deep in.
Okay, why Generation C is returning to God, New York Post. So we got a thing. With rising depression and suicidal despair, many Gen Zers are reaching to the point where they're turning to Jesus. It's like, okay, that's fair. If that's what you got to do to keep from putting a gun in your mouth, go ahead and do that.
That's equivalent to finding them in jail. Could
This
Jesus
is just-
show up
this is just
earlier
the,
just for once?
This is just the call to the altar. It's the altar call of just about every evangelical sermon there is. Oh, you found your life in atheism to be empty and devoid of life. Come to Jesus. Come to Jesus. He'll give you life, and life will be worth living once again. You feel empty? You feel dead inside? Have you been thinking about doing yourself in? Come to Jesus. Come down this altar. There'll be someone here to pray with you, and then they'll go into a room and counsel with you and to help you turn your life around for Jesus.
Those videos that Rebecca forced us to watch, Mike, with almost every one of them was a hard luck story in jail, and the one that they were praising the most was Mr. Stabby that just loved to stab everybody. He even stabbed the prison guards, but welcome him into the fold. He's a Christian now. Oh yeah, come hang out with me, buddy. Hide all the pointy objects.
Are you
know?
talking about David Cass? Not David Cass. David Woods.
Yeah, David Woods.
I was so stabby that if I wasn't stabbing, you knew I had the flu.
Anyway, Garte, look, in 5 minutes, I pulled up some evidence for you. Basically, well, it's a New York Post opinion piece. We'd have to look a little further. But if you'd Google a little bit, you could have found some fucking sources for your shit. And we wouldn't be giving you so much shit. Anyway, I linked that in the description.
And that's what I was yelling at the screen. I'm like, you have the internet. You have no excuse. People have no excuse anymore. I used to have to wait for my mother to come home to drive me to the library. Okay. You don't have that excuse anymore. You don't even have to say, well, I ain't got a ride to the library. You can look at that device in your hand and just ask it, and it'll tell you. Mm-hmm. Please.
Yes,
please.
but how sure are you that you get the right information? That's the issue with the internet. It's also the issue with a lot of printed material as well, because you don't really know whether the information in the book is accurate or not. So,
well, we got to get them started. We got to get them started, and then we can tell them about check the source. But they won't even make the first step. They refuse. They won't even open a dictionary to look up, what words mean. So forget the controversy. These are things that are in Webster's. They can't even open it up and look.
Oh, let's see. I found another article.
Like, what is an atheist? And the definition is pretty short, and it doesn't have the 1,000,001 things that they add to it all the time.
Where do we go here? Gen Z. Wow. Unaffiliated 30. What the hell? Gen Z. Okay, I'm looking at a graph. More than a third of Gen Z identifies as religiously unaffiliated. Okay, that doesn't back you up. I'm trying to find it. White evangelical Protestant, 9%. You're looking. You got a ways to go, Rebecca. 9%. Anyway, I should link that article too. Anyway, okay, should we move on?
Yep.
More.
Side of us and moving the world the way it has to go. And of course, the more we can do to help, the better it is. But something is happening, that some churches are starting to, to get new members from surprising places. So let's see what happens. I'm making
oh my God!
That,
some
I'm
churches
not
are getting new members from surprising places.
I'm
That
sure
means
it's true, but maybe it is.
I don't know.
Maybe we will see a new reawakening, at some point.
This is
Well, I hope
insane.
it's true. And, I feel like God is so patient. God, and there's some people that it will take God 50 years to get through to. It'll just, God will slowly work on them and eventually bring them. And I mean, that's really your story, right? Isn't that's what happened with you? Because so.
All right, Mike, you're the elder here. You've had at least 50 years of this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've had just about 50 years of it. How much longer does it take? We were just talking about mortality.
Okay, well, I'm currently 38. I'll be 39 soon. I guess I have to wait another 50 years before God gets to me. But the way she says that, it really disturbs me because it gives it gives the impression or the implication that that God slowly but surely chips away at your will, like little by little, just like it's no. What the fuck, Rebecca? Am I the only one who found that disturbing?
Seems to be going the opposite way. The more I hear apologists try to explain things, the more it just becomes ridiculously nonsensical.
I've been through a few cycles of evangelical hope and revival wishes and things, and this is just common tropey pap. It's just kind of been packaged for YouTube, and instead of referring to magazine articles or quotes from books, they're also adding videos to refer to, and that's it. That's the only difference.
Yeah, according to the Google, church membership is very gone up by 0.4% or something, and populations are increasing a little faster than that, I think. But
I need some slides, and he'll be full YouTube evangelical, because you gotta have slides.
And I wonder, and I know the answer to this is no. Has Psy even began looking for a newer generation of leadership to see who's out there? Because it's not just Michael Shermer. It's not just, when was Bogazian and Silverman was a public-facing leader of a large organization, but is that really how atheism is divided up now? Rather than huge groups, maybe it's a bunch of smaller groups. Maybe there's a newer generation doing things slightly differently than you're used to, and you have to look at methodology in terms of social group leadership.
Well, if one atheist messes up, that's all atheists. But if one Christian messes up, that's okay, because they're forgiven.
Yeah, that's easy and convenient for them. But in reality, how are atheist numbers going? And how are atheists organizing themselves? It's just a good question that is relevant to what he's trying to talk about, but he has no information. He's basing his opinions on no information.
And on Jordan Peterson.
Oh, here we go.
Once again, no information.
Advocating for humanity. God's waiting on a mental breakdown. If you have to suffer from some mental illness to drive you to Jesus, God does his part, right? I don't know. The fuck.
Self as an atheist and identify the places where God was breaking in like that?
Sure, very easily. I wrote a lot about it in the book, in my first book.
I just read that part.
I'll just show that one too. I'm going to be promoting a lot of books, so I'm warning the audience.
Yeah, and that's a really good book.
Which is my testimony. And, it's my testimony about how science helped get me started, but it didn't go all the way. It was the Holy Spirit that brought me to Christ. There's no question about it. And, I'm not alone. I did a video a few months back on a channel that specializes in testimony from former atheists. And I don't know how many there are now, but it must be, at least 50 of these videos. And it's just amazing, how the Holy Spirit works. And sometimes I've had people, I talk about my dream online, on YouTube videos, the dreams that I had. And in the comments on one of these YouTube videos, people tell me they had a very similar words being spoken, and I believe them. And that's what the Holy Spirit does. Now, that's of course on an individual level, but what we're talking about now is it's more of a societal, cultural level. It's like for a long time, the culture was so anti-Christian, and the London bus campaign, there's probably no God, so stop worrying and enjoy your life. That was the slogans put on London buses in 2005 and 6. That would never. I don't think that would happen now. And I think there really is a shift. And now, as far as my own personal story, I mean, as a working scientist, one of the obstacles I had was, the Bible is magic, religion is based on magic, sky fairies, and all that stuff, and science is real. But when you actually learn science, you find out there is a tremendous harmony between science and faith. And I'm just going to plug my second book, which is actually not available yet. It'll be released in January, but it is available for pre-order. And that's a very different book from the first one because
retirement funding.
Yeah, I was going to say, Scott, maybe you're not so cynical after all.
Yeah, maybe not.
Little snapshot of a particular area in science and how it's completely harmonious with the Bible and with Christian theology. Now, the point that I make in that book is that harmony doesn't mean two people singing the same note, just the opposite. To get harmony, you need two different voices, two different notes, but they sound beautiful together. And that's my point about science.
Way to beat an analogy, Si.
Science doesn't say the same thing that the Bible says, but they're harmonious and they're not dissonant. And I show that with, as I said, 45 different examples, everything from quantum theory to the origin of life to molecular biology and everything else.
No.
And
There it is, because he doesn't like abiogenesis. He's
Okay, how much is his book?
Stewart
I actually
fan.
want to read it now because he mentioned quantum theory.
Well, you'll have to pre-order it, I think.
Yeah, it's not going to be out for
till January.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And I don't want and I want him to be able to buy gifts for his grandchildren, so I'll probably buy his book.
So,
but I will talk
Not-
about it.
and I'm not
Very
knocking
nice
anybody.
deal.
Yeah, I'm not knocking anybody trying to make a buck. Everybody's entitled to try and make a buck. So
Scott, I don't know. I told you were wrong, but I tried to Google Garte and YouTube channels that get former atheists, right? And I'm trying to figure out which channel he's talking about because, of course, they didn't link the fucking source.
Of course,
it wasn't mine. I told him he could come by
So
the Captain
here's
Death.
how many things he's been on.
Yeah. Does anybody here know which channel he was referring to? By the way, side chat, please
God.
provide a link.
Look how many there are. So there's quite a few.
He might have been talking about Discord channel.
maybe I was wrong about Rebecca. Maybe she listed it here. Okay, where are we? Did she list it? No. Faithful. No, that's his channel. Get sized book. Nope. She didn't link it. So, yeah, there's a lot of them. He's been on a ton of them. But his conversion story is about some dreams that he had. And there's a lot of,
Sorry, I come up with a song for everything. Sorry.
I know. At least you don't say brains anymore.
Scott and I could listen to music together.
We could. I think we should make our playlist.
Scott.
Sorry.
Juicy brains.
Brain.
I knew I could trigger him.
Casper Holmes.
I want some brains, Speed.
The lobsterist. Yeah, we should get some brains to dissect midnight. We'll work on that after. We don't want to discuss that on the channel. Okay, guys, are we getting tired yet?
Well, it has been
I
nearly
keep
3
getting
hours.
re-energized.
We're not even what's 39 minutes out of a 1 hour and 14-minute video.
Yeah. Well, we did pretty fucking good. Usually we only get 4 minutes on this channel. So we're doing damn good.
I think that's most of the things.
Okay.
I think they're gonna bash atheists a little more coming up here.
Yeah. So Deconverted Man just linked something. What did he link? A Google Doc on
Don't open it. Don't open it.
Oh no. Oh God, my eyes. My eyes.
Okay, what is that before I click on it?
The holiest lobsterist. Okay. I got to put that in the description. The holiest
Yes, you do. 'Cause
lobsterist.
I don't see it in chat.
No, it's in the other chat. It's in the on Dave is like simulcasting,
Oh,
so I will link it in my video description. The lobsterist, because Deconverted Man has a whole thing on lobsters. Him and what's his name? Who's the other lobster guy? Si mentions him, right? Peterson, Jordan Peterson.
And don't forget, if you want a good little read, check out Dan Green, Caught Between an Infinite Hope and a Finite Despair. I found it a good read and promote Deconverted Man's book. Go buy his book.
I just found that book right next to Cy Gart's book on my bookshelf.
caught
Deconverted
between
Man.
an infinite. What was it again?
It's Caught Between an Infinite Hope and a Finite Despair. The author's name on it is Dan Green, and you can get it on Amazon.
Hey, Deconverted Man, send me a free copy and I'll review it.
Okay, Deconverted Man. It was one time. I just did it one time. I told you not to look that thing up, I swear. It's like, oh, you just get one fucking chance.
Yeah,
when it's
Deconverted
like
Man,
that.
you get a reputation if
Yeah, you get a
on the internet, and if you get a reputation, it's kind of hard to break it.
Yeah, you know what they say, you fuck one go.
Poor pig.
Now I'm gonna have to bleep that.
Oh shit! Yeah, you shouldn't be simulcasting from my channel, there. Dave. You forgot.
You know,
his
like
hand.
curses.
What'd you say, Midnight?
Does he? Wow. Does he not like curses? Is that what this is?
Oh, Dave.
No,
Dave
it's
tries to
just-
keep a clean channel.
I try to keep it clean so I don't scare off all my Christian
Well,
subscribers.
Just put a big warning on it that okay, this is from Speed of Sound's channel. Don't listen to this shit.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Like,
I'm gonna lose. Who's the one left? Maybe SJ. I'm gonna lose SJ now.
yeah, we don't allow no fucking cursing on this channel.
Not that my summoning stream wouldn't do it or anything.
Yeah.
Speaking of SJ, she did invite me to be on her channel if I want to.
Really?
Yeah, James got an invite. Dave didn't.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Gosh.
I've been trying to get her to talk to
I
me.
even hinted around and flashed my email a couple times. I didn't get jack. See how special you are, James? See, every time you get a little down about people listening to you and everything and stuff, people do listen to you because you're popular. You get invited to a lot of channels and everything, and a lot of us don't, right, Mike?
Yeah, we don't. Nobody invites me
Our
anyway.
first presenter this morning is Dr. Bruce Grayson. Dr. Bruce Grayson, this is
What is going
first
on?
visit to India, and for the last
shit.
past
You're
3
hitting
decades,
buttons.
his research is focused on near-death experiences.
So you say you're playing the wrong thing. So, but yeah, I think I'm low hanging fruit. I think that I'm not scary like you guys are scary, but
Hey,
yeah.
midnight.
Yes.
Deconverted Man said, get him an email and he'll get you a copy.
Oh, cool.
Okay, guys. What do you think? Move on, or should we just call it a day?
Now you could skip through a little bit and we could at least make it official.
Okay. Would you mind? Would you mind giving me your links to your channel so I could just give him the email directly in the chat?
Oh, here, I'll give you a link. I'll give you a link to the video that he's playing right now. How about that, Midnight? I'll put that in private chat. Let's see. Okay, there you go. That should work. Try it out. Try it out.
It's
Okay.
loading.
So let's see what else we got here.
I did teach at Rutgers for a long time, and I'm still on the faculty at Rutgers, actually.
Okay, talking about Rutgers.
Was incredibly anti-Christian. And in fact, the worst of the communists, the Stalinists who were fighting in Spain, massacred hundreds
I
of
don't give a shit
what I
about
read
that.
about it just turned me off so much that I wasn't interested. The same would be true for Mormonism, for example. I don't know about Zoroastrianism. I've heard of it, but I don't know much. I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
Do good things, and then you get rewarded. You get rewarded first. And
Yes.
you get rewarded with the love of Jesus once you
Oh.
accept him as your savior. You don't have to do anything.
Here we go.
Thing.
Okay. I want to listen to this.
Is at the heart. And so I think there's good
Yeah.
morality to be found in other religions, but the forgiveness for everyone is there in Christianity.
Yeah, and that for everyone is very important.
Not blasphemers.
Another thing,
They're the only ones that forgive everyone, unless you don't accept Jesus.
Nobody else thought of forgiving nobody.
Everyone. Yeah.
Blasphemy is not forgivable.
Okay, but there's a part here that's really important, I think. And
is that the way you described it is perfect, because in all the other religions I know of, there are things you should do, you must do, you have to do. In Christianity, you don't do good things and then you get rewarded. You get rewarded first. And
Yes.
you get rewarded.
Well, then what's the point in doing good things if you get rewarded?
I think they call it a bribe in the real world.
Yeah, it's like, what?
yeah, isn't the whole Old Testament about not wearing two different fibers in the same shirt and all this
Well,
bullshit? And
The thing
Yeah.
is, there's always one used car dealer who comes up with this wacky plan and goes, "It's so crazy, it just might work." And
If you didn't,
that
if you
was
didn't get,
Christianity.
if you didn't get his email midnight, it's in the private chat.
Thank you. I actually gave him mine also, so I guess hopefully he saw that.
Okay.
But there's this thing when, like, I was reading some of these conversion stories where the atheist became a Christian, and they went and they sat in church, and all of a sudden they realized that all they had to do is accept Jesus, and this whole thing came over them. This, like, they were given this gift. And last night I was talking to JG on his channel, and I said,
Talking, quote unquote.
yeah, I said something about faith. And he asked, well, where did you get faith? And I said, it was gifted to me. And that's exactly what they're talking about. Like in Alcoholics Anonymous, there's this syndrome of hitting your bottom. And then all of a sudden you walk into a meeting or you talk to another alcoholic, and all of a sudden you're given this gift.
I think
of
he means
sobriety.
the bottom.
The bottom.
Yeah, hitting the bottom.
What did I say?
Hitting your bottom.
Oh.
That's a different
Okay.
connotation.
The bottom, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah,
I know that was
TM
kind of
TMI.
childish, and I apologize.
Mike.
I just realized I'm
No, for
an
me-
old man who's acting like an adolescent. I'm
T-
going to back away.
TMI.
Okay,
Mike.
what? But for me, it was actually I hit my bottom and the bottom at the same time. I literally fell on my ass. So
Double
That's
whammy.
actually how I learned to ride the bicycle, but that's a different story.
And if you notice too, Cy is one too that likes to push. I used to be an atheist.
yeah, but I mean, there's this phenomena in human psychology where if you get stressed out enough and you get fucked up enough, and all of a sudden you get to the point where you don't know which way to turn, and you just say, I fucking give up. And then you accept something else in whatever is available to you at that time. There are people that will swear that it was AA itself that gave them this gift. Other people will say Jesus. Other people will say Muhammad or Buddha or whatever the fuck. But this is human psychology across the board, all through time. They have talked about this experience that people have. And it's time that we all start talking about it and learn a little bit more about it. For some people, it's taking a cafe dose of mushrooms, but you find this place and all of a sudden you are transformed, and it's a gift that's given to you. And that's kind of what the Christians are tapping into. And if you take somebody who's really stressed out and really in a bad place in their life, and you lead that poor fucker into a church and sit him on a pew, something's going to happen to him, and a Christian is going to walk out, and that's just what happens, and that's what happened to Cy. Okay.
Wait, hold on. If I remember correctly, didn't Cy become an atheist after after he studied biology. He's like,
No,
oh,
the
the
other
human
way.
cell is so complex. I seem to remember him saying that he became a Christian after studying biology.
Yeah, after studying biology, yeah, you said it the opposite way.
Did I?
Yeah, you did. He
Well,
said
whatever.
he
But yeah.
became an atheist after studying biology. And anyway, yeah, well, he was. I don't think it was a cell or anything. I'm not sure what it was, abiogenesis or a few things about evolution that he thought were you just couldn't put it together unless you had a God. But he came to Christianity through another path, and it was a series of 3 or 4 dreams that he had. And he did say that he was really stressed out trying to get his PhD at the time, and something happened to him, basically. And he had the same experience. And I've had that experience more than once in my life. I didn't learn, right? So I went back into the shit and I did it all over again. And then it happened to me again. And I was gifted with this unbelievable, like, transformation of my spirit and soul. And it felt like it came from somewhere outside of myself. Like, people always say, if I tell them I'm 17 years sober, they'll say, oh God, that's, good work. That's really hard. And I always say, no, I had nothing to do with it. It came from some other place, right? I mean, it was something that basically I had a nervous breakdown. I was a piece of fucking uncontrollable shit that was walking around with a fucking gun in my mouth. And then all of a sudden I was gifted this complete transformation, and it felt like it came from somebody else. I didn't work for it. I didn't think my way through it. None of that happened, right? So this is a human phenomena that we have to pay attention to, us atheists, and we have to quit saying, oh, it's just some psychological bullshit. No, it's a very powerful transformation. And until we all get to understand that, we're going to be plagued with these mythical beliefs in a fucking Santa Claus and whatever the hell, until we understand the neuroscience and the psychology of this phenomena.
But what's wrong with saying it's purely psychological and neurological?
Yeah, as long as you don't say, oh, it's just psychological, as long as you don't discount it, as long as you realize that it is a very powerful and transformative experience.
Well, yeah, no one denies that.
Okay.
Right.
Well, no, a lot of atheists
I don't deny people have experiences. I deny how it's interpreted.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And it's I've said it over and over again. It's like when the duck hatches, the first thing it sees is its mama. And if you go through this transforming experience and you're sitting in the pew of a church, or you have some Jesus person next to you, that is what you're going to attach to. And that is the problem with that. The Buddhists will tell you the problem with that is that you have traded one problem for another. You have traded one kind of ego for another. And the point is beyond that, where you completely lose the dogma.
Irony.
Yeah, it is irony. You get stuck in it, and then you start preaching, and you get like caught up in it. Pretty soon you got a YouTube channel and you're screaming about how atheists, they're just not skeptical enough.
I was told I'm not skeptical because I don't question the moon landings.
Oh my God.
If you don't question these things, you're not really a skeptic. It's like, no, that's not what it means. That's not what it means.
Well, go out there and look at the Earth, Dave. It's obvious.
That's literally not how it works, doll. Oh wait,
I gotta question the globe Earth too. It's like, no, I don't.
Okay, Dave, when you go out and build a building, you get a level, right? It tells you it's straight, it's flat. So how the fuck does that work if the Earth is round?
My kids know how to run a string and how to run a level and how to measure a square with the 3, 4, 5. Oh, yeah, they know the basics. You better believe me. The Egyptians were using that stuff, and if you can't run a string and use a level and stuff like that, don't pick up any tools. Hire somebody to do it for you.
I've watched many a ship get swallowed by the horizon.
Hey, Speed.
What?
Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Later,
Scott?
Midnight.
Yep,
Wonderful
bye.
to have you, Midnight.
Midnight, it was great schmoozing with you yet again.
It's like 2 days in a row I talked at midnight on a stream.
What other stream did we talk on besides this one?
Wasn't it yesterday? I've been on so many.
I think it was the stream of consciousness.
Yeah,
Well,
we were on there together.
Guys,
Do you mean Trusted Apes?
Yeah.
Oh, well, cool.
Yeah, we were on 8. That's one. Yeah, we were on 8 stream together. That's right.
I don't know if you got. I don't know if you guys know JG or not, but he's like a supreme.
Oh, I know him very well.
He's an exceptional philosopher, and he knows so much more than us dumb atheists. And he came up with he came up with a knockdown argument last night that that us lacktheists just cannot fucking deny.
Oh, that's
Okay,
right.
before I go, what's the argument?
Yeah, we got to hear this.
I'm not going to present it now, but I'm telling you, I want to do this tomorrow or the next day. Okay.
Okay.
I definitely want to do it. We're coming up on 3 hours, and I'm getting that shooter in the head feeling.
Well, I'm on board for going over that argument because I think it would be educational.
I think you hit most of the stuff. Mostly, and then Rebecca just has him on because every time he says something about atheists, she gets giddy, and there's there's quite a bit of.
Okay, Rebecca, we're sorry that we I don't know where on the doll we touched you, but apparently I know it's atheist.
Oh, come on! Why do you have to put it like that, Speed?
I know I shouldn't do that because of Dave's channel, right?
Show us on the doll.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not even just the Dave's channel. It's like,
Oh, at this point, midnight, you can tell that I have very few fucks to give.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Like, I admire your fucks that are not
Cancel.
doing.
Cancel my ass. Fine.
Yes.
I'm good with it.
I'm gonna have to be bleeping all evening. Now. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm not.
Beep.
It's not that. It's
This
not
entire
that.
stream needs to be beeped. An entire stream full of beeps.
Yeah, just beep it. Oh, that would be funny to do a stream. Like, I'm getting so sick of watching YouTube content where shit is blurred out or beeped out. And it's
Yeah.
like, Jesus Christ, just I just switch away from it. It's like, fuck you. If you want to play to the algorithm or whatever the hell, the YouTube police, go to hell.
I'll just put a parental warning on it.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
Oh, yeah, you should put I have one on. This is not for kids. It never has been. But
And people have cussed on my channel. I just ask to keep it down. That's all. I because there is a thing, and I've taken several lessons from Paul Agia. Okay, I think that he does a great job, and one of the things he said is, if you have a lot of profanity, believers are going to turn it right out. They're not going to listen. So that's all I ask, is try to keep it down. So in case a believer is listening, maybe they will, listen for a few more minutes before they turn it off. That's all.
I would hate for a believer to listen to my channel because, I mean, God, if they
I invite-
really listened.
I invite. I try to tell everybody that I'll treat everybody fairly at the captive desk. So
Yeah, we do
whoever
too.
you are, whatever you believe, whatever you want to talk about, as long as it's a civil discourse, not people like Kent Hovind that are just going to say, "Oh, you're stupid." Then forget it. I'm not going to waste the time setting up my camera and everything and stuff. Forget it.
Yeah, if we had a Christian here or somebody or an academic or something, we'd change our style considerably. And we're
That's
very,
right.
because my mom taught me to be polite in certain company, and I learned my manners a long time ago. And if a believer wants to come on, you will be treated fairly,
That's right.
even if I have to kick all you assholes off.
I appreciate it when a person.
And that goes for
respectful
anybody.
of their mama.
If you want to tell me a Bigfoot story, a ghost story, an NDE story, a palm reader predicted your future, anything, I want to hear about it.
Don't forget
But I
about
also want to
Chupacabra.
ask Chupacabra, Mothman, Nessie, whatever it may be. All I ask in return is, after you tell me your story, I want to ask some questions. That's it.
Yeah. So we're bleeding losers, or no? Bleeding
Bleeding
viewers.
viewers.
Oh boy, will you bleep that out for me, Dave? Will you bleep that out?
I'm gonna be bleeping all night.
Fuck, we need to bleep.
I got a
that
cat
out. Okay.
video to make you. It's not
Okay,
gonna.
I
It's not
apologize,
gonna
all
happen.
my viewers. Dave is going to bleep that out.
No. It's actually funny. It says we're
Okay.
bleeding, but we're also losers. You weren't talking about people watching us. You were talking
Okay.
about
Bunch-
ourselves.
Bunch of
Now,
atheists.
this is
Bunch
why
of atheist losers. There you go, Rebecca. If
Yeah.
you're watching, you can clip this out.
clip
We're a
that out.
bunch of atheist losers over here. That
Yeah,
was
you
is
won us
why-
over,
Dave.
Rebecca. You won us over.
Okay, this is why I don't go over 2 hours on my streams. Okay.
Then end the stream, bitch. Jesus.
Okay, we're ending this motherfucker.
All right. Hey, thanks everybody for stopping by, and thanks everybody that was
Yeah, I appreciate
here.
everybody who
Good
came by.
night, James, Scott,
Okay.
Mike. It's always a
And
pleasure.
Bleep out
Goodbye,
that
Dave
motherfucker.
boy.
Bye, guys.
Okay.
Goodbye, James.
Goodbye, crew.